happening. A well-organized lie. A well-organized lie. Defeats a disorganized truth every time. For who we?
A pseudo gon' die, they saw a pseudo killer, I'm a pseudo killer, intellectual sunsling, hey. I'm a pseudo killer, intellectual sunsling, hey. I'm a pseudo killer, intellectual sunsling, hey. Pseudo gon' die, they saw a pseudo killer, I'm a pseudo killer, intellectual sunsling, hey. I'm a pseudo killer, intellectual sunsling, hey. I'm a pseudo killer, intellectual sunsling. Who do you believe in? People bringing misinformation when that information ain't disinformation, that's disinformation. Gotta know the difference in information, get information. With the pseudo killer army hunting pseudo, cause you gotta train your mind to fight against them pseudo judo. People with the scholarship salute, we give them kudos. But the people with that look of shit, we look and see straight through those like telescope. If you ain't speaking fast, we gotta tell them folks and let them know the truth of. You bringing malinformation to blast, then you the Ku Klux. Like say, don't talk me to death, bro, what the proof of? Good juju chillin', why you wanna go way bad juju up? Shalom boy got the tank in the cut. I'm in Sosa World plotting on the kick though with Kent. Come Tiffany gave me the pseudo names on the list and said went and got the low. Anthony got him in the scope, Gullah and Gozy make sure DNA ain't a problem for them folks. Cause a pseudo gon' die, they saw a pseudo killer, I'm a pseudo killer, intellectual sunsling, hey. I'm a pseudo killer, intellectual sunsling, hey. I'm a pseudo killer, intellectual sunsling, hey. Pseudo gon' die, they saw a pseudo killer, I'm a pseudo killer, intellectual sunsling, hey. I'm a pseudo killer, intellectual sunsling, hey. I'm a pseudo killer, intellectual sunsling, hey.
We're not attacking individuals. We're attacking the information and attacking the methodology. This is a long time coming right here. Let them know that we right there, running neck and neck with all other communities. We will not be left behind.
The unexamined life is not worth living. Socrates. Good morning and welcome to Pseudokillas Sunday School.
It's Sunday school, PK style. Open your Bible, turn to chapter and verse. Let's see what it really says. Let it to work. I went down to the garden to see what I could find, but I brought a cold scalpel for the architecture of the mind. They told me just believe. They said don't ask why. But I'm looking for the engine in the middle of the sky. I'm massaging the text till the ghosts start to fade. Applying the rigor in the light of the blade. No more circular blocks, no more holy disguise. Just the natural right before my eyes. Oh, we're dissecting the Lord. We're testing the word. The greatest story that you ever heard. Sunday school for the mind and the soul. We make the ritual to make ourselves more. I need a father pedagogy. Come as my witness. Come as my witness. The text is the evidence. Naturalism is the spirit. Naturalism is the spirit. Can I get a conclusion? Conclusion. The floor is now open. Bless the stage, bless this session.
Good morning once again and welcome back to another Pseudokillas production. What are we doing here? What are we doing here this morning? How's everybody doing? Don't forget to thumb up the video, let everybody know we're in here. Synergy and everything coming together is a beautiful thing. In the beautiful transition of everything, it is a method to the madness. We don't follow, we don't react, we respond. And as part of the development of this process of teaching scientific literacy, going into the history of science, we reached at the point with Dr. Hendricks and Dr. Aiden that we are now starting to understand that this has always been something about the mind, how we process information. There's been some confusion and discussion about who and what is a scientist. I never entertained the discussion because eventually, in the evolution of this process, in the breaking down of this subject, we would get here, right here. Great job Juju did last night with breaking it down and getting us synthesized for this material. I've also been doing that in the last series when we were discussing the philosophers of science. We actually got into their mind, why and how they were processing information. The word epistemic regime is a new word that is now part of our vocabulary to put things in its proper framing, to take away the illusion, the romanticism, the overwhooping of these individuals and what they meant. So now during the series, I'm not going to conclude for you who is a scientist. You are going to follow the data. You are going to dissect it for yourself and reach to the appropriate conclusion. We are already there. We are already there. But there's a process, and we need to take this step by step and get there. So today we have a two-part series. I might finish it today. I might not. But you know how we do. We split stuff up. We don't like to bombard you with too much information. So we have been focusing on a few individual characters throughout the series, right? And of course, there are much more individuals. It gets much more complicated. We've hit on a couple of those names before, but in this series, we're gonna do what we do: slow it down, take a look at these people, put them in their a specific time in history. What that means is we are going to examine the epistemic regime that they were in. Were they in the medieval? Were they in the Renaissance? Were they in the postmodern? Which epoch, which epistemic framework were these people under? Before I do that, let me say hello to some people in here. Early Black Sun 403, morning. Thank you for being here. Yo, Mel in the building, the archivist of the Pseudokilla family. What's good, Mel? Ramon Bears in the building. Hercules, my brother in the building. Kevin Chill Heard, I appreciate you being here, family. That's a pleasure and it's an honor to have you here. 2 dogs, 4 cats. He said, I will have fun. Thank you. Ricardo Robinson from over in the UK. Peace and thank you for being here. Pastor said, it's a different kind of church this Sunday, though. It is a different kind of church. Well, indeed, yes, it's Pastor said on Sunday. Can I get an amen? Oh, yeah, we're going to use this setting, and eventually, because we're in this transition, it is appropriate to have this discussion on Sunday. Why? It is a transition period between the authority of the church and the independence or the authority of nature. You have this dichotomy taking place. I was explaining you how these people stood with both feet in both worlds. Kant was a magic figure. He created a wall, boop, and that wall was to preserve his religion, not to undermine it, but to preserve it. In an effort to do everything to preserve the status quo, they produced a machine that ultimately took that authority away. That is the irony and the serendipity of science as a whole, right? And we have been discussing that. But we are at that area where the individuals and their particular state of mind. Shout out to Dr. Aiden and shout out again to Dr. Hendricks for their great their great information and giving us a fuel to continue exactly down this road. It is important for us as human beings. I'm very clinical. I can just examine the framework, the individuals. They're in a much relevant to some of us. But as human beings, we want to understand the individuals, how they were thinking, what was going on in their environment, what was the smells, what was the sentiment. Juju did an excellent job yesterday illustrating the fact that our epistemic regime is science, methodological naturalism. That's where we go to understand what is happening. The authority in terms of how we interpret the world is science. Now, there were other epistemic regimes where other forms of authoritative rule, right, dictated what was the thought process. And you function within the framework that was the paradigm. For example, these people existed in a paradigm, honestly, that people sincerely believe that human beings came from Adam and Eve. Darwin, doing his work, this was the framing of reality. This was taught, this was the known, this was just the way it is, Adam and Eve. Now, it's very difficult for us to put ourselves in a time where that was not a belief contra scientific fact, and it's but no, this was what it was. Everyone, this was understood in the Western world. This was reality, nothing else. So you need to be able to put yourself in that particular frame of mind to understand what's going on and what we're talking about, right? Y'all know before we go into the lecture though, hey, it's Sunday morning and I need to have a little fun. Y'all have a little fun.
What's your ideology? Seems to be the question round here lately. Every discussion rooted in blackology, fueled by the lack of integrity. Case in point, the so-called strategy, misleading the people, high-level foolery, smash, come of us, king's monologue. It must be a conspiracy. Nostalgia got them stuck in the past, always reliving history. Ask Dr. Ben and Clark, say their names, here's our spark. All one big fantasy, smoke and mirrors, only confusion, no clarity. The nigga promote Quincy, Van Sertima, and Rashid. Now they teaching God energy, but that's another story. Reggie out here seeking glory. For him it's about his legacy. Higher pseudo movement ended prematurely. Reggie was denied his opportunity. He signed at the feet so surely. It was meant to be his destiny to the king of psychology. That's your ideology. Seems to be the question round here lately. Confirmation bias, poor research quality, cherry picking data. That's a tragedy. Call yourself a scholar, then it's a travesty.
I'm gonna never stop bombing on Reggie. Y'all better understand that. Reggie is the reason we are in a conundrum, confusion, and misleading and miseducating the people. Instead of us the ability to have coherent, developing conversations around the subject, we're stuck in the mud We're stuck in the mud because Reggie insists on maintaining a rhetoric that is pure and utter nonsense. Shout out to the other channels that are giving us weeks and weeks and weeks of content. We appreciate you. Shout out to the TMI boys, Brass and crew. Thank y'all for keep doing what you do. Tune in tonight. No, we didn't forget about the lab. We just moved it because the beauty of that show with Dr. Aiden last night, we didn't need it to contaminate the airways with nothing else. So tonight, 9 o'clock, I'll be back because we got a dissection to do. Nobody is getting away. No. All will have to account for what they've said. We got you on black and white. Watch how your own words come back to bite you. Stay tuned for that. All right. Without further ado, let me share my screen. Let's get into this presentation. It's a bridge. We are going to examine some of these influential characters that were part of the transition. So let's give me a little monologue, get you ready for what we're about to do. In the story of the scientific revolution, we often speak as if the world changed overnight, as if the medieval thought simply gave way to modern science in a single decisive break. But history is rarely that clean. Between the old world of authority, tradition, and theology and theological certainty, and the emergence of worlds of observation, law, experiment, and mathematical law, stood a generation of thinkers who belonged to both. Figures like Nicholas Copernicus, Johannes Kepler, Galileo Galilei, and Isaac Newton did not simply reject the past. They reinterpreted it, wrestled with it, and in many cases remained deeply embedded within it. They wrote of God and gravity, of divine harmony and mechanical laws. They practiced astrology alongside astronomy, alchemy alongside chemistry. They were not purely modern minds, they were hybrids. This is the bridge, a transitional moment in intellectual history where contradictions were not yet resolved, where old frameworks had not fully collapsed and new ones had not yet fully formed. In this two-part series, we explore the thinkers who stood between two worlds, not as anomalies, but as the very mechanism of change itself. Because the scientific revolution was not a moment, it was a process. And the bridge is where that happened. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let me take you to the show for today. The bridge, builders of the scientific revolution, from natural philosophy to modern science. The scientific revolution was not a sudden break, but a transition driven by thinkers who lived in two intellectual worlds at once. So they're not a clean break, only hybrids. Keep that in mind. Medieval worldview, authoritative, theological, and Aristotelian physics. Remember, this is well within the 2,000 years, well within it, of Aristotelian rule, where the book was the authority. Theological, meaning purpose driven, the essence of the rock, the soul of the earth, the divinity of nature. Authoritative, top down, deductive reasoning. Well, wood floats because wood is supposed to float. Its essence is of water, and water creates a balance whereby the wood itself can float on the water. Now, I'm not telling you that that's the actual framing of it, but might as well be right because you just make it up based on your observation. Sosa gave us a good example of how Aristotle did his experiment to determine heavier things fall faster than lighter things. We now know that is true. But For almost 2,000 years, this was the prevailing worldview. How it is derived? By authority. Authority's purpose was primarily theological, teleological, and Aristotelian driven, meaning the books said it. Remember what Bacon said? Burn the books, get out the books, get in there, get your hands dirty. Modern science, empiricism, mathematics, and experimentation. Segue into empiricism. Don't forget to tune in Monday 4:30 for another set talks where we go into these actual philosophical concepts, empiricism and the likes. We'll be doing that series, and no one knows where that will end because we'll go down rabbit holes and analyzing these philosophical frameworks, our modern way of thinking, which produce a mechanism to give the data required by means of this modern philosophical framework. So when you guys focus primarily on the observations, the experimentations, and these things you are going to find them throughout history. We are talking about the mind frame with which these happen. And you're going to see why that is important throughout this series. Let's go. Bitch figures, methodological innovators, plus philosophical holdovers. So they're innovators in the methodology by means of their thinking process. You think of a way to operate and you derive our tools and systems, but this framework is essential. It is the mind process. What and how are we engaging with nature? Epistemic regime. They didn't abandon the old world, they reworked it. And we're going to see that with Nicholas Copernicus. Here we go. Nicholas Copernicus. Was he astronomer or a mystic canon? Which was he? Modern moves. Heliocentric model. Oh, we went from a geocentric model to he moved it. Scientific. Ooh, that was a major scientific shift, right? Was it? It was. Heliocentric model is the model we still use today. The sun is indeed in the center of our solar system. Mathematical simplification of planetary motion. What does that mean, though? Let's look here. He retained perfect circles. His philosophical framework determined how and what he was doing with his math. I'm going to say that again. His philosophical framework determined and guided what he was doing with his math. We're going to go into Nicholas Copernicus separately because this is a very interesting story. It tells it beautifully. He takes the work, the mathematical work done by the Arabs, and the Arabs were facing the same problem. They needed a formula to align what they were seeing, what they were observing, with their philosophical framework. The observations needed to fit the framework, not the observations determine the framework or determine what it was. No. We see this. This is our philosophical position. How do we fix the observation to fit the philosophical framework? That is unique. Right there, if you get that point, then I don't need to do anything else. If you get that little point there. So he did move it to a heliocentric model. What was his motivation? Motivated partly by harmony and the aesthetics and the aesthetic philosophy, the symmetry, the divine symmetry, the divine order of the universe of God. This is how it had to be. His math forced him to move it to a heliocentric model, but to maintain the perfect symmetry. So his philosophical framework forced him into the correct position. If there was something else, we might have had to overturn what Copernicus did, because Copernicus was pure serendipity. He did it for not a observation hard science. It was his philosophical framework which dictated that action. So it was how he was reasoning, how he was thinking, determined how he applied the math. Again, if you get that, the job is over. Bridge rule. Mathematics begin to challenge authority, but still tied to an ancient idea, still tied to ancient ideals. That philosophical framework. So the authority said geocentric Earth. Within this framework, maintaining the philosophical framework of God's divine symmetry, this is not a challenge to the status quo. This is an upgrading, a reinterpreting, an incorporation of new data into the existing epistemic regime. Johannes Kepler, Modern Move, Laws of Planetary Motion, Elliptical Orbit. Boom. Kepler was he's another step forward, right? So you see where Copernicus said maintain divine order. Kepler was like doesn't compute, doesn't compute. He's seen it. He can't deny it anymore. Data-driven astronomy. So the bridge to the old world. Give me a second. Let me turn off the sound on my phone. My oversight. I usually do that before I go live. My bad. Sorry about that. Old world baggage. Belief in cosmic harmony and divine geometry. This needed to work because of divine harmony and divine geometry. Attempt to fit planets into the platonic solids. Getting more into that. His framework is still here. The divine geometry. It is their philosophical framework which motivates their science. It is not a methodological naturalism framework. This is a divine natural philosophical framework. Divinity still exists within nature, the same as Aristotle and Thales had established. Do you see where these gentlemen's frame of reference is? They're being pulled apart. Cognitive dissonance. We're seeing it right here in the community. That is what's going on with these individuals. They are examining reality and they have a particular worldview. So these observations, they try and shoehorn them into as much as possible to squeeze them in there. They're not there yet. When we look at the chronology of their existence, when they actually lived, you would actually understand that they're not there yet. So we focus on Newton. We got a whole bunch of bridge figures. Break from perfection from circles, right? That Nicholas Copernicus maintained those perfect circles. He broke away from that, but he keeps the mystical framework, the divinity of nature. That isn't that's a top down. That's an authoritarian and a teleological endeavor, purpose driven. Is he a scientist? Scientists has a particular framework in which he operates, methodological naturalism, which explicitly excludes for a mythical framework. Y'all with me? ¿Estás conmigo? Galileo Galilei. difficult individuals. Look at him. You can see the turmoil that is within his being as he struggles with the reality in front of him and his deeply held beliefs ingrained in him from the pulpit as a mere minor, raised in the perfection of modern society, part of the established elites, quite bold to speak out against him. However, trapped within that framework. Systematic observations, use the telescope, tools that advance our senses. Your senses now are becoming irreliable. You take off your glasses and check again, put your glasses back on and check again. Early experimentation, experimental reasoning, philosophical driven, top down, mathematic descriptions of motion. So you see, here's caught between two worlds right here already. So he's developing these early experimental reasoning, which will eventually lead to hypothesis forming. But why isn't he there yet? Let's look. Thought experiments over controlled lab science. Because he's hearkening back to who? To Rene Descartes, where their reason, my big brain, was sufficient, was more than enough. And let alone if once or twice his thought experiment was established and corroborated by a lab would make it completely redundant. Didn't I tell you so? He still framed his arguments philosophically based on that divine order, top-down process, instead of the scientific method where you follow the evidence and the conclusion is reached after that. After the examination, you corroborate or you test your hypothesis. No, framed it around his philosophical ideas. A lot of them still teleological. He's on that bridge. The old way is hearkening, calling, the comfort of his known world, his known reasoning. It's being challenged. You can see the cognitive dissonance taking place. He's looking off, wondering, how am I going to resolve these issues in my head? Science is a way of thinking. He pushes empiricism forward, but not yet modern experimental science, because he still believed that the thought or the philosophical framework was still more important. Man was still at the center, especially for arrogant dude like Galilei. So Francois Bacon advocates induction and empirical methods. He was the first. He like, y'all, these books, these books gonna get you on y'all killed, bro. Y'all better go outside, get on the boats, go along with these sailors. These sailors are coming back smarter than all of us. We need to get out there. We need to brave the elements. We need to roll up our sleeves and get out of the books and get our hands dirty. We need to be amongst the commoners. When's the next voyage? Rejects reliance on authority. Had to. The sailor come back 2 weeks later and know more than you ever thought you knew. All your books wrong. Your maps no good. Sailor got notice. I got a remedy here. If from the natives kills malaria in a heartbeat, I'm not having any bloodletting being done to me anymore. I've got my herbs with me. I'll be fine, thank you. He had no choice. He limited the actual scientific practices, though. Why? Because The white swan. All the swans I've seen are white, so swans must be white. If you reach to the definite conclusion, you hamper the scientific process because what? Your environment, your geography, your ability to research is limited. And if you close that door and have definitive answers, you will never actually reach to the proper conclusion because your search will have stopped. Inductive reasoning is dangerous. Hasty generalizations. We know that. Defines ideal of science before it fully existed. He defines the ideal of science before it fully existed. Not even fully existed is an overstatement. This bro here is like the foundation stuff, rock bottom. Then you got all these characters and all throughout history. We're gonna see them come up and put their contributions and add it on to it, and finally, around the early 20th century, finally there. Now, whole history of pseudoscience and the race science, I forget all of that, unfalsifiability. This was all part of getting there. Is he a scientist? Rene Descartes. Rene Descartes. Listen, the fact that he wanted to preserve his head is the one thing I love about this man. He said, look, maybe it's a comedic nature in me, but I can actually see him walking in the court. The queen just got word of all these new discoveries, and she realizing to wait a minute. These people ain't no damn thing. Call him in here. Pompous as philosophers walking around their high horse, head up in the air. The aristocrats looking down at the mere mortals. You inbreds, morally degenerate beings. I'm of high breeding and caliber. He walked in there. Yeah, yes, Your Majesty. What is this? These maps? They're no good? They have made discoveries and they cannot be found on these maps. What is this? Well, guillotine rung in the background. Chicking, chicking. Well, Your Majesty, with all due humility, we have not yet understood all of God's divinity. And this is yet another miracle that God has bestowed upon us, allowing us to see the limitations of our knowledge. We are mere mortals and can be wrong and fallible. But the quest of God, the quest of divinity, the quest of the mortal man is to seek and understand God's word. We are but fallible human beings. Sincerely, Your Majesty. He created the environment for science to be wrong, whereby we are allowed to self-correct. That self-correcting mechanism was built after the philosophy of a dude just trying to save his own neck. The irony is so beautiful. Old world, dualism. Now, you remember the last series what my French boy did to his dualism. There's no evidence to support your dualism. So that means he just made that up philosophical framework and stated it as if it was a fact. And you know what? Our whole legal system, judicial system, for centuries has been based on this idea that there's this separate thing in you that has agency and can actually decide. Do you? Shout out to the Brain Show. Deductive reasoning over empirical testing. It costs too much energy, mind you. He wants to go into the field, yet it must be limited. I am a man of high stature. I should not be engaging too much of the debauchery, now, mind you. Once we've observed enough, we can further reason our way, authoritarian, dictative still. So you see the dual nature. We need evidence because the books ain't working no more. But still, I going to decide based on what I just see. This is what it is. It's empirical testing with just but so far. Yeah, authorities still need to remain there. See why these people are on that bridge? He replaces Aristotelian physics, but keeps the metaphysical structure, dualism, metaphysics, making it up. Nothing to support it. Just his idea. We understand it. When you think of yourself, you think, I got a body, I got two hands, I got a mind. Yet you look at another unit, another agent, and you see that as a complete entity. Huh. The illusion of the self. He bought fully into it, had no tools to test it, they just metaphysical claim. Wanted empiricism because the books almost got his head chopped off. He want to go out and preferably, let's go on a 3-4 month trip until the queen, settles a bit. Guillotine, boom. He don't want a guillotine. So you need to do some search out there. But this metaphysical framework is still there. The natural philosophical framework is still the epistemic regime of each individual that you saw throughout this presentation so far. Each one. Their epistemic regime is natural philosophy, teleological, authoritative, top-down, deductive. You with me? Remember Copernicus? Its ideology is what forced the change, not the experiments nor the observation. The observation needed to align with its philosophical framework. Thus, an adjustment in the observations needed to be made. Framework is of relevance. That's why, not his personal conviction so much, but what that framework does, how you operate. And y'all are seeing this is not methodological naturalism in action. We are seeing elements of it. We're in this rupture. Bing, pop, boom. These people are spread throughout Europe. They're not all in one space and time. These people overlap. Some are dead before the others born. Realize what we're trying to paint for you here. This picture, this is a significant epoch in history. There are whole university programs designed around analyzing these 200, 300 years of history. Isaac Newton, complicated figure. The philosopher's stone. Laws of motion and gravity, mathematical unification of physics. So he uses some of the reasoning by Descartes, I think it was, who said we can model nature mathematically. So he set out to do that. The laws of motion. He could have described them without the need for the supernatural agent. Now, you know why that statement is relevant? It was not his intent to do so. It was a surprise conclusion that he reached, upsetting to him. He wasn't he trying to prove God. He's trying to show God in his mathematics. What's his intent here? Not methodological naturalism, far from it. That's the last thing on his mind. The science we use today came from a philosophical framework that was the objective was to prove God by means of the language of nature. God speaks to this language. So we can find God in the language. And what his conclusion was, he didn't find God in the motions. That's what. Is he a scientist? What is his philosophical framework? What is he operating on? Is he operating under methodological naturalism, or is he operating under philosophical naturalism? What is the driving force behind his science? He's attempting to establish God, the divinity of God. He's looking for God in the language of God, the language of the world, the universe, mathematics, God's language. He's trying to find God in that language, and the conclusion was he didn't. Upsetting to him. He wasn't happy about that. Deep involvement in alchemy, theological obsessions. Man was deep into the occult. Deep. But it was not as if it was something alien. His philosophical framework was the word of God, Adam and Eve, the Bible. Everything that he used his big brain work was engaged in the philosophical framework of reality. We call him a nut jokingly. Yeah, he a nut. But we could do that anachronistically, jokingly. Because, today we look at that's nuts. But understand the world he live in. Adam and Eve is a reality. That is a matter of fact. God, Noah, Moses, this is real. This is actuality. It is not speculation at this point. This is what is real. And he is attempting by all means to solidify that. He's in that dichotomy. World is falling apart. Theological people are being challenged. You got the humanists popping up here. You got movements popping up. People are challenging the authority. His deep conviction is, I'm going to show you God exists. We still got these apologetics here. Apologists doing the same thing today. But this is the framework he's operating on. Is Newton a scientist? Is he? He builds modern physics while privately immersed in pre-scientific traditions. The science that he produced was serendipitous. It lacked God in way he was trying to prove God, and okay, this is what it is here. Nothing he was major, no biggie for he. That wasn't for him a major achievement. That wasn't for him. That was we embraced that. And whoa, when you look at the work that he actually was interested in, these were just side things. They didn't lead to where he needed them to lead. Didn't lead to God. Robert Boyle. See, they focus on Newton. It's the limit of their scholarship. And it creates more of a problem than a solution when you can just stay out of our way, do your barbershop talk about how they should vote for Trump again, and leave the science and the real hard stuff, the intellectual stuff, leave it to us over here. Like, just leave it. We'll take care of it. We don't need y'all messing it up, confusing the conversation, illiterate. It's no need. We got this. Eventually, we were going to get into the human beings because we are human beings. But to have this conversation in its proper context, now we can have it, right? It's easy to follow because we understand what epistemic regimes is. We've done the work. We've developed the understanding and the vocabulary necessary to engage with these topics. So y'all been trying to push it. Non sequitur eventually will be dealt with in its proper context, not the power stop thingy that's so unbecoming of the subject. Modern move. Experimental chemistry gas laws, and control experimentation. So now he's starting to solidify things a little bit more. You can see these people moving throughout history. He's moving away from the alchemy from brother back there. He start doing some real experimental chemistry. Develop gas laws, control experimentation. To develop gas laws, you need controlled environments and very strict type of mechanisms to execute that. So you see he moving forward, way forward. He like the bridge, you saw the bridge got tree. Like he's way down the end of the bridge almost. He's still on the bridge though. He's still on that bridge. You don't just, it's a bridge, you have to cross it. It takes time to walk from one end to the next. It's a time frame that you won't be on that bridge, right? The bridge is not just boop up, it's a process to cross the bridge. Continued belief in alchemy. See why it is being on that bridge. Continued belief in alchemic transformation. So at the end of the day, they were trying to make some gold out of lead. Religious motivations in science. They all have the same red line. They are trying to use science to prove God. And what is the rule of methodological naturalism? Ah, there you go. Transforms alchemy into chemistry without fully abandoning the alchemy. Because he's on the bridge. He's moving towards there, but there's still that hearkening because it might be right? The more he does what he is doing, the more he's moving into chemistry, the less and less alchemy becomes viable. But that belief in that this is the divine order of God is still underlying. It's still the motivating factor for the work that they do. Shout out to Dr. Hayden again and Dr. Hendricks for making that clear. You can stop looking at what they were doing. Look at the motivation behind it. That is telling you what we are looking at. This is how you're able to frame these individuals properly in the context that they belong to be framed in and not have these watered down, simplified conversations that don't help the intellectual capacity of the community grow or give us accurate information, keeps the areas muddy that individual scammers like Reggie can talk about science, right? Ancient science, yet deny natural philosophy as a knowledge system, because he equates science with knowledge. Yet when we talk about natural philosophy, that's not science. So if it's not science, Reggie, and you equate knowledge to science, then these people have no knowledge. What are you saying? Your ignorance is on display, and that's what must stay on your head. The real revolution, it's not a collapse. It's a transition from one side of the bridge to the other side. Methodological naturalism is on the other side of the bridge, and you're leaving natural philosophy. You don't just jump. It's not a quantum leap where you're either here or there. No single moment of change. No pure first scientist. Gradual refinement of empiricism, mathematical modeling, experimental controls. When you hear people talk about the first, instead of, and especially when they do it in the sense of complete, he was the first doctor. Huh? What do you mean? You had a white coat, stethoscope, wrote prescriptions? What are you talking about? What is your definition of a doctor? And you talk about some surgery, you talk about some triage, you talk about some minor wound, and then you go doctor. You mean stuff the nurses do nowadays? Put things in its proper perspective. Let's have these conversations coherent. No, like we do not need to have these dumb it down, simplified conversations. We're intellectually mature people. We can have a substantial conversation about this stuff. These figures didn't escape the old world. They carried it forward and reshaped it. You see that bridge there? In that process, right? You have this philosophical framework. New information comes in. You synthesize it to the framework you're in. That's what we would do right now because we operate on the methodological naturalism. What do I always say? Any phenomena that you assume to be supernatural, at the moment we can engage with it, it becomes a natural phenomenon and part of the scientific world. Boom, that's a framework in which I operate. That's a modern framework. I will carry every new information that is coming into the arena within that model. That's my epistemic framework that can't function outside of it. We no longer are under the illusion of Adam and Eve. We have a whole different paradigm. We understand evolution, whether we accept it or not. Science wasn't born clean. It was forged in contradictions. I've been saying that. The serendipity. Kant. Rene Descartes. These two particular individuals stand out. Then you have Einstein, then you have Newton, Boyle, Copernicus. These are all people trying to maintain the status quo, trying to maintain the rule of authority. They want their theological framework. However, the instrument that they created based on the environmental pressures produced a tool that ultimately stripped the authority away from the state and the church. That's why I say state-sponsored religion. The state sponsors religion. What all bridge figures share? They reject authority, but not all tradition. Use math and observation, but retained metaphysics. Move towards method, but lacked full modern rigor. It was impossible to have full modern rigor when the authority wasn't completely taken away yet. You're moving towards the further grounding of these concepts in its independence away. You have the early establishment in late 1600s or mid 1600s of the royal societies. In these royal societies, you have people with that same philosophical framework. This is a process. Science didn't appear. It emerged through contradiction. All right, that is the end of part 1 for today. Dun, 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 dun. How did y'all enjoy that presentation? How did y'all enjoy that presentation? Let me know. Let me see some. So the whole thing is, are we understanding the philosophical frameworks that we're operating under? Did I do a good job in illustrating the frameworks? And we need to get there. We need to get that clear in our understanding. I'm gonna drop the link. Anybody could get up here. We do a Sunday show. So if y'all get up here, let me play the music.
It's a travesty, you know it's right. Keep it trying to make science black. Who's confuses science with technology? Reggie, is this your idea?
What we do in the building? What it do? Roy Chess in the building. These people in here. Great Anthony, great Anthony.
Don't wanna get lost in that mess, even the skin now. Reggie tried to contest that affected him emotionally. Reggie came loaded with more pseudo-foolery. Yet another battle he lost horribly. Obviously, Reggie, you're not ready. Ideology got you looking stupid, silly. Squints his eyes. Where he lies, it's looking
Hi, can you hear me? I can't hear you, Cedric.
Oh, I was on mute. Sorry,
Oh,
sorry, sorry. Peace, peace. Welcome, Roy. How you doing?
good, peace. I'm glad you did a show like this because a lot of things are, I guess, misunderstood, and I think it's a characterization of misunderstanding language because some words are used in a slang sense and some words are being defined in an academic sense. Would you agree with that?
That is that has been a problem or an issue, not a problem, an issue in the community for quite some time. We have moved away, although it will come back eventually. Science or theory in terms of colloquial meaning, where it's a hunch or a general hypothesis versus a scientific theory, which is a collection of facts, data that explains a particular phenomenon. So when we're having these conversations, you always hear, often hear, it's just a theory. In this conversation with science, Reggie is a perfect example. He wants the vernacular and the veneer of science in the ancient world. So he insists on African science or ancient science as if there's a linear progression, right? Now, when we talk about the natural philosophy, Reggie clearly indicated, no, no, that's not science, but it is an epistemic regime. It is the knowledge system and the knowledge structure of a particular era, right? So now, if you say that is not science, yet you equate science to a knowledge, then you're creating a linguistic conundrum, and you're tying yourself into a knot. So you're saying that the Greeks had no knowledge because natural philosophy isn't science, but the ancients had ancient science. So
Mm.
you see the confusion that is being caused when you use the terminology incorrectly, and you insist on being dogmatic and over dramatic with these arguments. Like,
So,
we understand it. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, just to be clear, so are you saying that the way you're defining it is more academic, right? That's the vibes I'm getting. So I
Yes,
just want to
we
give
are.
you an idea of what I hear and what I think because is being said. I just want clarification, right?
Yeah,
You're
we
saying that,
use.
for example, the scientific method is a process that makes one a scientist. Is that
Yes,
correct? So
yes.
if you have, let's say, five criteria of or seven criteria, no matter, I don't know whether you believe in the five criteria or the seven criteria of the scientific method, that if you're
Hmm.
missing one of those criteria, you are not qualified as a scientist. Is that what you're saying?
Let me make it even a little bit more clear. Your philosophical framework. You see, like, for example, if you look at Newton, a lot of Newton work was very scientific and via the process and methodology, everything. What was his objective in his philosophical framework? When you look at that, you see that his objective is divinity. Now, when you put that next to the scientific method, where it says you need to exclude particularly supernatural agency or any of these unsupported metaphysical assumptions from your work, then you can clearly see that, okay, his work was very empirical, but his framing was not that of the scientific method. It was not methodological naturalism. And there's where the distinction is made. So when you look at Copernicus, for example, he created the heliocentric model. Is he a scientist? Was he actually practicing science? Was his objective scientific, or was his objective theological?
Okay, so you're using that as a disqualifier, correct? I mean, that's the way I saw it also. So I'm glad you said that because it sounds like you're saying he doesn't meet the scientific method. And because he doesn't meet the scientific method legitimately or strictly, that it eliminates him from being called an academic scientist, right? But he's a
Yeah.
scientist in a loose sense, right? People
Yes.
would
Yes.
recognize, people would say a lot of people are scientists, just like you're saying people are philosophers, right?
Yes.
I
Yes.
personally study philosophy, and it cringes me when I hear everybody saying that everybody's a philosopher. So just like some people are cringing that, oh, they're calling him they're saying he's not a scientist, right? So let's be clear. There's two contexts of the word scientist and philosopher and all this other stuff, right? Academically, if you qualify, then you get the title. In a loose sense, you could say like everything is everything is science, everything is philosophy, everything is everything, right? So some people are not, I guess, comfortable with understanding that there's more than one context to the word, right? Multiple words, the same word, I'm sorry, can have multiple contexts. And if you focus on only one context, then you're kind of being biased, right?
Exactly.
You're not being open to other opportunities. And there's no absolute here because there's more than one connotation, right? There's more than one context that you can use. You could use both, right? So I
Exactly.
could say Newton is a scientist in a loose sense, but academically, he doesn't fit the criteria.
Yeah, he's a natural philosopher. Yeah, like
I
he
mean, when you
doesn't.
say natural,
Yeah.
I cringe because everybody's a philosopher, and just
No,
like
no,
people,
no. I when I say philosopher, I say specifically natural philosopher. Why? Because natural philosophy is the first initial steps of trying to investigate the natural world. Right. The difference is the method. It was deductive, so it was I see and I assume, I decide. It was still very human driven, not data driven. It was opinion driven. Next to that, the purpose, theological, or the purpose, the essence of it, the divineness of nature. You see Newton talking about the divinity of the heavens. So all their work, right, quote unquote scientific, what was the philosophical framework? What was the philosophical framework with which they were operating? So it wasn't within the framework of methodological naturalism. It was within the framework of natural philosophy. That's why that's a particular epistemic regime. These individuals forced the break. They forced the shift towards methodological naturalism, right? But they themselves weren't there yet.
yeah,
It
I
is
agree with.
the internal battle that they are dealing with, and you see it throughout the work, right? Their minds are in both places, or their minds are in a particular place, but what they are doing to reestablish or affirm a particular framework still serendipitously led to the development of what we now know as methodological naturalism, modern scientific method.
Yeah, I agree with the second part. I don't agree with your first part. Again, a lot of people misuse the word deductive reasoning, and that cringes me also. They like if you're talking about science, they very rarely use deductive reasoning in an academic sense. The
Yes, I
reason the
agree.
reason why they do
Stop.
that
Wait,
is
wait, wait.
because they use senses. And deductive
I
reasoning
never
does not
said
require the use of senses.
good. That's why these individuals are natural philosophers.
When
Do
you
you
say
get that?
philosopher again, yeah, that's again a slang use, right? So we gotta
No, no, no,
understand
no, no.
that.
Within the academia, Newton, these individuals are natural philosophers from Thales
No, I
straight
would
up.
disagree. I would
You can
disagree. Not
disagree
everybody's
on, but that is
everybody's not
not
a
an
philosopher.
academic disagreement. That's your personal
It is.
disagreement.
No, it's not. No,
Oh,
are philosophers calling him a philosopher?
so I am going to go to the data, and these individuals are going to be registered as natural philosophers.
Yeah,
Why?
by people outside of philosophy.
No, that is within the academia. Science is a branch of philosophy. It is a way of
No,
thinking.
well, no, that's in a general sense. That's a slang. Like when you get a
No,
science degree, you don't get a philosophy degree.
no,
Like if
no.
your degree says
Your PhD in any of the sciences is a doctor of
of
philosophy.
philosophy, yeah, so that's a
Good.
general sense,
Stop. Slow
right?
down.
So
Slow down.
somebody
Why?
who gets a
Why?
PhD in
Because
philosophy,
it is how you think
different,
about the natural world.
right? But
How
you
you
made a
think
very
about the
clear
natural
distinction.
world is going to produce a system by which you investigate it. If your system was just philosophical, there is not no necessary need to develop a strict methodology or systems or tools. It is based on your observation. I see and I conclude. Very little experimentation, and if any was done, it is to establish or affirm the particular thought you have of a particular phenomenon. It is top down. That's what authoritative is. Theological because they took the divinity away from Zeus and placed it into nature. This is the framework in which they investigated and understood the natural world. It is
Yeah.
purely a philosophical endeavor. A
So yeah,
way of
again,
thinking produces
Mm.
the data that you have.
I understand what you're saying, but that's still in a general, broad sense. That's not academic. For example, you mentioned the degrees, right? It says on your PhD, Doctor of Philosophy of Physics,
So
Chemistry, Biology, whatever.
Who gave Newton his PhD?
No, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not saying he did have
So
one.
so
I'm
again,
saying
you're having two
you're
different
using it in a
conversations.
loose
We're having a
sense,
historical conversation. These
right?
things
But
are being
you're using the
established. We're
context.
having
Yeah,
a
y'all moving a
modern
little bit.
conversation.
How y'all gentlemen doing? How y'all
How
gentlemen
you
doing?
doing, God
We're
killer?
good. We're
Yeah,
good.
y'all mixing it up. Y'all they ain't
Yeah,
But
had no
he's mixing
degrees
the
in that
context.
period.
He's mixing
Anyway,
the
I'd like to say
context.
hi to the panel, man. Royce, am I saying that right?
Roy Chess. Yeah.
right, Chess.
What is it? Roy Chaz? Okay, how you doing, brother? What's up, said man? How you doing,
What it
man?
do? What it do? What it do?
So I just
I'm
like
good.
to
I'm good.
compliment. I like to compliment both of your brothers for this high level conversation y'all having, and I'm hearing what you're saying. But I hear y'all mixing a little bit. Y'all like mixing time periods a little bit though.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead. I'm
No, I'm
listening.
not
I'm gonna
talking
jump
about.
in.
I'm not talking about time periods. I'm talking about the usage of the word philosophy, the way he's using
Don't
it.
stop. With there
It's
again,
both.
context matters. We are talking about a particular time in history. We're not talking about now. We're
Mhm.
Yeah, but
talking
I'm
about
talking about the context that you're using, and I want to make
which,
that clear so that
which
it's not
not. Okay. All right.
misformed,
You got the flow. Go ahead.
right? So when you're using this context,
Mhm.
you're using two words in two different contexts, right?
Okay.
So we're using the word scientist in a general sense, where everybody's a scientist kind of thing, and
Mhm.
then you're talking about the criteria that one must meet in an
Mhm.
academic sense to be called an academic scientist, right? Then you're
Mhm.
doing then you're doing that with philosophy as well, because
Mhm.
you're using philosophy as like any idea, any person could be a philosopher, but there are credentials that are necessary in philosophy as well, and the people that you're calling philosophers don't meet that criteria. Newton is not a natural philosopher. I would
Okay. Can you stop right there? Can you stop right there?
Yes.
So that's basically your opinion. Am I correct?
No, it's not my opinion. That's
Well,
not my
it would have to be because he's definitely known.
by
Matter of
whom?
fact, he wrote that the work right. Something with philosophy. What's the name of the work? That'll sell it. What's the name of the work he wrote?
Yeah, everybody calls it philosophy. Like that's what
No,
I'm
no, no, no,
saying.
no, no, no,
They
no.
don't meet
The
the criteria.
name of what he wrote is called philosophy or something, mathematica or something like that. Am I getting close to it?
Yeah, I've heard of the
Filosofia
title, but
Mathematica.
Hold on. What is it again? Hold on, Seth. Y'all was talking. Go ahead, say it again.
Filosofia Mathematica. I'm gonna look it up to be sure.
yeah, I
Yeah, yeah.
get
I
what
think that.
you're saying.
So hold on. So ho. No one's wait. In his time period, matter of fact, Jude did a great job on it. In his time period, he was certainly known as a philosopher.
Everybody's a philosopher back then. Like
No,
that's
no,
what I'm
no, no,
saying.
no, no. Yeah, I hate your point, but I'm saying he was specifically known as that. So you're saying he was known as what then? Hold on, if he because
He's
we
not.
know he wasn't no. No, no,
If
no.
he's not a
Listen to me.
scientist,
No, 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 no. You
he's
can't
not a
speed me up.
philosopher.
You can't speed me up. Let me just say it. I'm asking you, right? That he wrote a work on philosophy, one of his
No,
major works, right?
no,
Mathematica, right?
no. That's not a
Okay.
math. That's not a philosophical work in philosophy.
Okay, well, you know, you might just be wrote, right? I'm just saying the title of it, right? Okay. And then my point is this: he definitely wasn't known as a scientist back then. So now I'm asking you, what was he known as?
Well, I don't know what he was known as, because if you're saying
Okay,
he's
so
not a
wait,
scientist,
wait.
hold on.
That's
Let me answer
okay.
your
You said you
question.
don't
Let me
know.
answer
You
your
said you don't
question.
know.
Let me answer your question though,
You
fully.
did. You said you don't know. All
No,
right, go
no,
ahead.
no. So if you're telling me he's not a scientist, I'm telling you he's not a philosopher either, for the
No,
same reason
no,
why you
no.
disqualify
You
him
can't.
as a
It's not the
scientist.
same. No, no, no. I'm saying he's not a scientist because the word is not even in the thing lexicon yet.
Yeah, but that's
Right?
that's that's a
That's
semantics.
important. No, it's not semantics.
It
Wait,
is.
whoa. Nobody around this time knew anything about a scientist. We have to retrofit that word, right? So hold on. I'm not saying anything. I'm saying you have to retrofit that word. We can agree, right? Those people that did that type of work, studying nature, that's exactly what he was doing. They call you a philosopher, a natural philosopher, because he studied the natural world. You're
Yeah.
saying no, that I'm asking you then, What does history call him during that time period? Everything I read so far says he's a natural philosopher. But go ahead, Royce. What do you call him? What did history knows him as? Go ahead.
I would say history knows him in a general sense, as a scientist and not a philosopher. He doesn't.
No, you
He
can't do that, man. Come on, yo. As much
in a
as you
general
know, because
sense.
I understand you understand this subject. Wait a minute.
In a general
Come
sense,
on,
the
man. Come on,
scientist.
man.
He would be in the science category, not a philosopher
No,
category.
I'm
No, I
sorry.
asked you, and
No
I said
general
in his
sense.
time. I said in his time period, when he lived and walked around and did what he did. What is he known as? You said a scientist, and I will
Yeah.
call cap on that.
No,
No, he's not known as scientist.
I
That
think
word
that
didn't exist. So he couldn't be
right.
known as scientist.
Yeah,
First
he
of
won't
all,
talk.
So
Hey.
that word didn't exist, but
first,
like
I'm,
No, it
I'm,
didn't.
I have the
no,
second half of
I'm
the
agreeing with you.
presentation ready.
It didn't
So you're
exist.
wrong. Stop.
That
We
Stop.
cannot argue over this. We should probably argue over whether we think he fits in a category as a scientist or a natural philosopher. We can argue that in his time period he was called a scientist.
No, he wasn't.
That be borderline ridiculous at this point for this
Yeah.
conversation. We're too intelligent for that. Just because you
no,
may not,
you're
you
being literal at that moment, right?
well, that's we need to be literate because we're having a literate
No,
conversation
Yeah,
right
yeah,
now.
yeah,
no,
yeah.
literal doesn't mean that.
Literal.
No,
No, we're being literal at we're literally. What was he called during this time period?
yeah.
We're
Not your
actually
By
opinion.
being
who?
literal
By
Not your
who?
opinion.
No, by who? By
By
regular folk?
historians.
by
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 historians.
by
Yeah,
our
by
words that
people.
we're speaking.
By
He had
people
a
outside of
profession.
philosophy, he would. Yeah, you could say he was a natural philosopher, but that goes with everything. That's a general sense. The same way
So
you're
I
fighting
hear
that he's
you.
not a
so wait,
No,
wait,
I
scientist. I'm
get you.
wait.
fighting he's
I
not a
get you.
At this
philosopher
point,
either.
at
Yeah,
this
I'm not
point,
buying a voice. I need a source now
yeah,
because
at
guess
this
what?
point, you need a
We
source.
when
Don't
you was
care about
learning
So
me.
what?
philosophy, because I know you know we're okay.
A
How was you
source for
taught it?
what?
Go ahead. How was you taught it? Like what you're saying? You was basically taught that way.
What way?
The way to say what you're saying, or you just came up with it.
I didn't just come up with it. The
I know.
same
That's
way
what I'm asking. Go ahead.
I'm asking you to reason the same way you're reasoning about the scientists,
I'm not
right?
reasoning about no
No, we're
scientists.
not reasoning.
I'm not
That's the
reasoning about
problem.
that.
That's the
I'm not
problem
What's
right
your
now.
stretching.
source? What's your? We're not
What do you mean? What's
speculating
my
on that.
source?
No, so
What do you mean?
you're
What's my?
giving us your opinion, and
No,
we're
I'm not.
producing the data. So
I'm not
source up
giving you
at
my
this point.
opinion.
Yeah, I
Source
don't know,
up.
What do you mean?
voice.
What source?
I don't
What?
know,
I don't
voice.
understand.
Source up.
What you want me to source
Source
up?
up, because you're wrong. You're
What do you
making
want me
claims
to
that are
source?
unsupported. You're
What are
saying he
you
was called a
asking me?
scientist in his day. Wait, wait, don't cut
No,
me off
I
when
didn't
you're
say
finished.
that. I didn't say that.
So,
But he was
so
called a natural philosopher in his day. I mean,
he was a natural
In a
philosopher.
general
a
sense, yes.
natural philosopher.
So the same way I could say he's a scientist.
No, you
You're
can't. You can only say that
Okay.
now and retrofit it
hold on,
back
you
in
can't
time. I'm not arguing
hold
that.
on. Hold on. You can't have it both ways.
I
Right?
got
You
that is a
can't
both
tell
way
me
thing. You can get it
no,
both
you
ways,
can't
bro.
have it both
He could be
ways.
both. He could be both things.
No. Your
What you
reasoning is
mean?
the
No, no,
issue.
no, no.
The reasoning is the issue here. You're
Okay.
saying he's not qualified as a
No,
scientist
I
for
didn't
no,
say
we're
that.
not
any
No,
saying
hold on,
anything.
Royce.
I
Don't
need a
mix it up,
source now.
Royce. I didn't say that. Royce, let's separate both our conversations. I didn't say that. I don't care if you call him Joe Smo from Kokomo. I don't care. But what I'm not giving up on is the fact that he wrote a work called what was the name of the work again? Philosophy,
Yeah,
mathematics, or something like
yeah,
that. I need to
I got it here.
go ahead.
Filosofia Naturalis Principia Mathematica.
Okay. And I'm saying in the history of natural philosophy, he's known as that. During his time period, they called him that. We had a scholar on and we talked about that very thing. Now, today in 2026, we can safely retrofit the title scientist on him, and there is no pushback for me. But you have registered a pushback by saying that this man was not a natural philosopher. You said he was a natural philosopher. You said he was not. And I said, okay, you
yeah.
said in a general sense, did he the same way that we're applying it? So then I asked the question, then what was he considered during his time? That's all I was saying. And you
Yeah.
said you didn't know. Okay, bet. So now all three of us need to find a source so that we can know. This is the question we can know.
No, you're missing my point, right?
Okay, let me try. I want to focus on getting your point. Go ahead, bro.
You're trying to be you're trying to be literal with the semantics, right? So okay, granted,
Literal with the
if they
You
didn't
semantics.
use
crossed me
the
up.
word,
You crossed me up with the what? The what?
No, no, that don't make no sense. That's an incoherent statement.
no, it's not, and I can explain it, right? Because you're
Hey
That is
saying
Royce,
an
hey
incoherent
Royce, you
he's
gotta
statement.
dumb it
saying,
down
hold
for me,
on,
Royce.
he's saying I can't use the word science because it didn't
I didn't
exist
say
yet.
no. I never said that.
You did
Whoa,
say that.
never. No,
You
bro.
did
I
say
said.
that.
Listen to what I'm saying. Hey, Royce. If I said that, let me
You
reevaluate
said
that
they call
statement.
him
I said in 2026 we can safely retrofit the title scientist on him, and I wouldn't care if you called him Joe Smo. That's what
Right.
I
But
said.
you
Stay with
said
my word.
retrofit.
I
You
said
said
you can't.
retrofit,
You
which means
said
it didn't exist then, right?
It's got to be retrofit. That is a. Oh
Because it
man.
didn't exist, right?
right. No, we're doing that. We're not doing the. You said they called him a scientist back then, and I said no, that can't be because that word didn't exist. That's what the correct frame is. What we
Yeah, he
want
ain't
to
mean
call
that.
him
He couldn't have
now.
meant that.
Yeah, that's exactly what he said, and that's
I
why I
know he couldn't
said.
have meant that. That was a slip of the tongue. He
And
ain't mean
that's
that.
why I corrected him and said, no, they didn't have the word back then, so nobody could have referred to him as such back then.
Yeah,
Let's make that clear. We're not gonna conflate the conversation. However, there's only one thing now Harai needs to demonstrate. What was he officially known as, if not as a philosopher? Because they didn't have science. Everyone who was engaging in
Yeah.
intellectual discourse at that time was either a philosopher or a practitioner of nature. That was the titles they had.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah,
you need
I
to
thought that's
show
what it
me
was, boy.
otherwise. Not your opinion. You need data now. Because this is not my opinion. We're not digressing what we do in here to opinions. So you either need to source up that what he
Yeah, we
was
can't. Yeah,
actually
you
called,
can't do that.
especially after you say you don't know, you're disqualified from this conversation right there. You got one more chance.
So,
You got to source up and show what he's called.
so would it be anybody you would consider a natural philosopher, or
There
all of
is no
them
such
in the
thing.
general sense? Huh?
There is no such thing. I would say there's no such thing.
Okay.
Maybe
Yeah.
there's
All right. All right.
maybe
Now I
there's a
got you. Now
class.
I
Maybe
got
there's a class you can take called natural philosophers, but
you. No.
philosophy
No. No.
is a
I heard
field,
you. I
just like
got you. Now I'm not.
science,
Yeah, I'm not
right?
willing to argue. I'm not willing to argue past the data. Now you just came
With
up with something
data.
that I wasn't aware of. Yeah, I was not aware that nobody was called a natural philosopher. You
Well,
got me.
was Aristotle a
You
natural
officially got me.
philosopher? Was
Huh?
Plato a natural philosopher? No, they
I
were
mean, you know what, bro?
philosophers.
You know what? I said you got me. I don't know
Okay,
what to say past that. I can't argue past something I don't understand your statements.
right. So I mean,
You
that's
got me.
that's
So then, what
that.
was they called? And watch what you say. What was they called?
I mean, in a slang sense, everybody, like I said, was called a philosopher. Yeah, we can agree on that. But that's not that the same way
No, I
you're
said a
saying
natural
Newton is not a.
philosopher,
I
specifically.
don't care whether you use natural in front of it or not. He's not a philosopher in an academic
That's-
sense. That's what I'm saying. In a general sense, everybody's a philosopher. Everybody's a scientist. You could use the words loosely like that. But you're
I
saying
understand context and that, but we're not. But the
you're
problem is,
disqualifying Newton for some
no, no, no,
specific.
no, no, no. The issue I actually have with that is that we're not using the word loosely. We're not using the word scientist loosely. Not at all. We're not using
But
it in the
you're using the
general.
word philosopher loosely.
No, we're not. We're not. Hold on. We're not using the word scientist loosely. We're retrofitting it, meaning we're looking back into time. We're looking at what he produces, and we're calling him a scientist. It's not general, right? It's retrofitted. Now, we're not loosely calling him a natural philosopher. I'm saying I have several papers in front of me, but I'm driving that say you're wrong on that point. So
You're
I'm just
literally
asking
reading.
you to help me get to where you at, right? What was it that you had read that would safely say what you're saying, and then we can move forward? Because I know you understand what you're saying.
Yeah, it's not
Seriously.
about what I've read. What I'm telling you is just like you're saying the scientific method qualifies a scientist, philosophy as a field has qualifications also. And this
Hmm.
man does not meet that requirement
Okay,
and the science
I
requirement.
got you. I got you.
So
But
he's
you said
leaving.
nobody met the qualifications though. That's what
No,
kind of got me.
no, I didn't say nobody met the.
Okay, so
I
well, okay,
said
I'm asking that
Aristotle,
move.
Plato did, right? So
Plato.
clearly
Okay.
people didn't meet it, but they didn't call themselves natural philosophers. They called themselves philosophers. And they had
Okay.
a certain type of training. That's what makes
Okay.
one a philosopher.
It's
Not
the
just,
training.
yes, it's the training. It's not
I
just
got
I'm
you.
a philosopher. Just like I can't say I'm a scientist. So you have to
Right.
do it both
They
ways.
were
So if
trained
he's
in the
not a
they were
scientist,
trained in the Aristotelian way. They were actual. That's why he's a natural philosopher.
no, he's not.
These were people who are
He's not
part of the
using
academia.
deductive
They
reasoning.
were part of the academia. Which method? The one in the
He's,
modern sense, or we're talking about historical context? We're having two different conversations, and you're
no,
insisting
it
on putting
hasn't
a
changed
modern
that much.
narrative. So I need a source now, not your opinion, where it said based on this criteria, pop, 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 pop. Newton, no Kepler, no Galileo, no Thales, no Aristotle are philosophers of nature. Go ahead.
I
A
didn't say that.
source. I need a source that says that, or this conversation is going nowhere, because it's really
What?
not going nowhere. You're
So
telling me
I
your
don't.
opinion.
Like,
I
it's
need an
no, I'm not
academic
giving you an
source
opinion.
that says they were not. Other than that, this is not our opinion. This is a consensus of historians putting them in their proper perspective.
Right. So that's the mistake right there.
So you
We're
need
talking
a
about
source that
historians.
says otherwise. No,
You can't
we're not
use.
doing
Hold on.
your opinion.
Hold on.
We
You
don't
cannot
do
use a
we don't
historian.
do people's opinion. We're
I
not
didn't
doing
give you an
your opinion.
opinion.
Do you have a source that supports your position? Yes or no?
The question is incoherent. Do you have
You
a
have an
philosophical
academic.
source that says that
Is
they're
there an
philosophers?
academic place I can go to that is going to clearly say Newton,
Do you have?
Kepler,
Do you have?
Galileo do not qualify as natural
This is crazy.
philosophers based on this criteria?
No, sir. What I'm saying to you, you're calling
Do
him a
you
philosopher.
have that? Yes or
Do
no?
you have it? You're making the claim,
No,
not me.
because
You're
I'm
claiming
not
that.
making a claim.
You're
They are
claiming he's a
natural
natural
philosophers by
philosopher. The
all the
burden of proof
data,
is on
by
you.
all the historians of science, by the
Go to a
philosophy of
philosophical
science.
source.
They are
Show
all.
me he's a natural philosopher. Don't use history. Use philosophy as the.
Huh?
as the
Don't use
criteria.
history.
Yes, it's the
Don't
field
use
is philosophy. You're saying he's a philosopher, right? You're not saying he's a historian.
Okay, so
So
now
why
you
would you go
need
to
to
history?
source up. You
No,
need to
you
source
need to
up
source up.
and
You made the
show
claim.
that he is not a
How dare
natural
you?
philosopher by history.
You made the claim. You're saying he is a natural philosopher. Go to a philosophy source and show me he's a philosopher. Did Aristotle, did any philosopher recognize him as a philosopher? You're making that claim, not me, sir. That's like me saying he's a musician, and then you're telling me go find a source that he's a musician or not a musician. Go to the field we're talking about right now is philosophy, and you're going to sources outside of philosophy, sir. You didn't give me one philosophical source that says he is a
So
philosopher.
now again, see, you're moving the goalposts. We're
I'm
having
not
a
moving the
historical
goalposts.
conversation, and I'm asking
Historical,
you.
it's a philosophical conversation, buddy.
Okay, so good. Now show me
You show
a
me in
source.
philosophy. You made the claim he's a philosopher.
No,
If
I'm
I say
showing you
Newton
the
is a
data.
scientist, hold on. If I say Newton is a scientist, you're going to say source up and show me a scientific source that says he's a scientist, right or wrong? You're in the field of science. I have to find a source that says he's a scientist, yes or no? So I'm asking you the same respect. If you're talking about philosophy, I'm asking for the same respect. Show me a philosophical source that says he's a philosopher.
All right, so I'm gonna show you a source that says calls him a philosopher, right?
Are we ready?
No.
Are we
A
ready? Are we
philosophical
ready?
source. A
Hold
philosophical
on.
source.
We don't have to argue. Hold on. I have a source. Don't talk me to death.
No. Is it philosophy? If it's not
I have
philosophy,
a source.
No,
I have a source.
you don't have a source to put nothing you're saying.
So
Go ahead,
Isaac Newton is science and religion. All right. And it clearly says, it clearly lines him, and clearly says that Newton was a natural philosopher. All right, and not a scientist in the modern sense. That is my source, and that's what I'm presenting for today's great conversation. That's all, bro. That's what I have. I have a couple more. I got these sources from Sister Juju, and I at least read that. All right, so that's where I'm at.
King Sosa, you got the floor.
How you doing, Sosa? How you doing, bro?
What's going on, man? I'm just pulling up, so y'all go ahead. I don't even know where y'all at.
Oh, he said.
where did this source come from?
He says Newton. He says Newton was not a natural philosopher, but he was a scientist.
Where did I say that? And I said it in a general sense. I didn't say it in an academic sense, right? Let's be clear. Don't twist my words, sir. He's in a general sense, just like I could say you or me are a scientist because we do some things scientific. That's a loose general sense. That's not an academic sense, right? Nobody's going to take me seriously if I say I'm a scientist, right? That's a loose general sense. The same way you could say you're a philosopher. And I'm saying there's a criteria for that.
Yeah, they call them mathematicians too. They call them mathematicians or experimental philosophers too. I just want to add that to it. I kind of learned that from that.
Who's doing it? You're not answering my question.
The field.
What field? That's exactly what I'm asking you.
The people of their day.
What field is it? Is it music
I
field?
said they
Is it
called them.
physics?
I said it
Who?
was. I said.
What
I said
field,
math. They
brother?
called them mathematicians.
Who is
Hu-
they? What
Human
field?
human beings. Come on, man. Now you yelling at me, man. Come on, stop it. Stop that, man.
I'm asking you
Come on, bro.
specifically what
And
field.
I
You're
said
telling me human
the
beings.
school, the people of that time that was doing that type of work. That's the
What
who.
type of work?
That
Can
were
you give me-
mathematicians. They generally called them mathematicians or experimental mathematicians. I just said it. You
That's
saying
not
who?
philosophy, though, right? Like, come on.
No, I said, and and I said that first. So I gave you other things it could be called. I said that.
And those are loose
Call it who?
generalities, correct?
His colleagues.
His colleagues.
Yeah, man, come on, man. Now you being funny, yo.
No, I'm being academic.
No,
You're
you're
telling
not.
me
You're
that
being,
there's
no,
that
no, you,
these
no, you,
people
no,
can
no,
call
you're
them
not. No,
philosophers
you're not.
and
No, you're not.
they're not even philosophers.
No,
You're
you're not.
proving my
No,
point.
no, you're not. No, you're not, bro. Nah, you're not.
That's like
You're
a
being
musician is calling me.
Nah. So if you in a band
physicist.
and playing with musicians and they all call musicians, you say, who called them that? What you
And they're
mean?
not philosophers.
The field called them that.
What field? Philosophy or
I
something
said,
else?
no, we're talking about musicians. Come on, man.
No, I'm asking you
Stay
specific.
focused. No, stay focused.
I'm asking you
No,
specific
you
questions.
can't switch it. Right now, we're
I
talking
didn't
about
switch anything.
you
Your
brought up,
reasoning is bad.
you brought up people in the band, musicians.
Yeah,
And
because
I'm
you
saying, and
can't tell
hold
me
on,
what field
Joy,
you're
why?
talking about.
Wait, man, why are you doing that though, yo? Now you putting the conversation a little different. I mean, go ahead, bro.
No, I'm
Talk.
not. You're not
No,
focusing.
I'm saying, go ahead.
You're not
Can't do it.
focusing. When people in a field recognize you as one of their own, that's where it counts, right? So if I call myself a musician and a real musician shows up on your panel and he says, "Well, why do you call yourself a musician?" I can't just nominate myself, and you guys can't. Like, even if all of you think I'm a musician, that doesn't make me a musician, right?
No,
People in the
that make
field
you
have to give you that.
you double talking now, bro.
No, I'm not double talking.
Because if I'm in a band and we all playing instruments, then you are a daggone musician. You bugged out on that,
In a
bro.
general sense,
And you double quick talking. So if I'm walking through the door with a damn instrument, I am that because
no,
of my
you're
actions.
not.
Man, you cutting me off, man. What the fuck is wrong with you, yo? Damn, we trying to have a good conversation, and your tactic is to cut people off in mid-sentence. That's very arrogant and ignorant at this point. Come on, bro.
No,
We having a
what I'm
good
saying, you're making
conversation.
a false
You
statement.
gotta slow down. Okay, let me do it. Well, so should I just cuss you straight out?
No, go ahead. I'll let you
Right.
go.
Thanks, man.
My
You talking
fault.
super quick.
I
Man.
apologize. I
Yes.
didn't
All
mean to
right.
cut
Thank you,
you
brother.
off.
Thank you, brother. I'm simply saying if I'm every day going and playing with the band, I own an instrument by default, by reason, by common sense. I am that. I'm participating in the field where people make music and they call you a musician. It is not in a general sense.
It is a general sense.
I get paid for it. I
No,
make money.
no. That's the general sense, brother.
Okay, so then how do you be a musician outside of the general sense? You're
By
saying
meeting
basically
certain
there is no
criteria.
such thing. Thank you. So
By
I meet
meeting
all.
by
Thank you.
meeting
So
certain criteria, and you
I
don't meet the
agree.
criteria.
I agree. Now
If you
that I
don't meet
agree
that
with.
criteria, you're not a musician. The
Not
So
same
can I
thing,
ask
if
you
I
this?
don't
You
meet
know,
the criteria of going to med school, I'm not a doctor.
let me
I
ask you a
can't just say
question.
I practice medicine, but I'm a doctor, and I never been
Based
to med school.
based on your
No, that's
understanding of
not. Oh
philosophy,
man.
why doesn't Newton fit? Like, what are you using to put him outside of that?
It's not my argument. They're Cedric, and what I'm trying to understand is why people are using the word scientist in two different contexts, and people are talking past each other. So Cedric is saying that Newton doesn't qualify as a scientist because he doesn't meet the criteria of the scientific method, and including that they add the mysterious religious aspect to their science. Am I correct? I mean, that's
No, I
what I
didn't say that. I said he
didn't say.
doesn't
I'm
fit
not
the
quoting you.
philosophical or the epistemic regime. His epistemic regime is that of a natural philosophical approach to nature and not a methodological naturalism. So that's why he doesn't qualify as a scientist, because scientists strictly apply MN. And he was part of the establishment of that system and therefore can never be actually one engaging in it, because it was a couple hundred years later that it was fully established. These are bridge individuals. They are existing in two worlds, one top down and one where nature dictates. This is the area that they're in. They are on that bridge. between natural philosophy and methodological naturalism, which are both branches of natural philosophy.
Okay, so then what you said, you didn't even mention the scientific method. Why did you not
It's not
mention?
relevant. It's not
Oh
relevant.
man.
We are talking about
Why is it not relevant?
epistemic.
That's
We are
why he's not a
because the
scientist.
conversation is about the epistemic regime, and that is what you are failing to understand. We are
No, I
talking about
understand. I
different
understand.
epistemic regimes. I need not talk about the procedures. We are simply talking about the mental framing that produced the method we use today. It is a philosophical approach. So we are talking about the philosophical framework.
You're using the word philosophy is killing me, right? Like you're
Oh
using
man.
like
What's the criteria for good morning, fellas? What's the criteria for philosophy?
the training itself. And most of the people that you guys are calling philosophers, all this, they don't have the training. They don't have the training like a Aristotle, Socrates, or Plato. They don't have it.
What?
So
What?
what?
What training
They
is
What?
don't
that?
have
What's the training,
What?
bro? Listen, stop. Oh, hold on, Cedric. What's the criteria for a musician?
I don't know. I don't know the exact criteria, but I know they have a
Oh,
criteria.
so why you keep using music, bro? Because I play music. So why you keep using music?
It's an example.
You
It's
fail
the
when you use
idea.
music. No, it's a bad
It's the
example.
idea.
I'm trying to tell you
You can't.
something.
You can't.
You
You can't focus
fail,
outside of being literal.
You fail using music, bro. You
No,
failed.
I didn't. Do you have a degree in music,
That's
for
your
example?
example.
Do you have a degree in
Degree.
music? What?
What degree? You don't need a degree to be a musician, bro. That's the point.
Hold on. No.
That's why I
You're
said
still
you're
not
bro.
understanding
Don't
English.
argue with me. Do you play
You're
music?
still not
Do you
understanding
play
English.
music?
You're not
Do you
understanding
play
English.
music?
That's
No,
a
do you
personal
not
question.
understand English?
Why
Do
does it
you
matter if
play
I play?
music? I asked you for the
Why does it
criteria, bro,
matter?
and you said
Why does
training.
it matter?
What training? What
What do you mean?
training?
What training? Somebody with, let's say, somebody with a PhD
Exactly,
has
bro.
training.
So now you don't understand English. I said what training?
No, you
You the
don't
one said
understand
training,
English.
bro.
Okay. Slow down,
You
everyone.
wildin', bro.
Let's delve into that. Let's delve into that. You made a claim that that requires a specific training. So,
Yeah.
where did Newton study?
Do I don't need to know where Newton
Where
studied.
did Newton study?
Wow.
Why does that matter? I don't understand.
Okay, where did he study and what did he study?
What he studied, I don't know. Where he studied,
Oh,
I
you
don't
don't
know.
know. Okay, so now, Roy, you are starting to eliminate yourself from the discussion because you're becoming
Surely
annoying,
is.
right?
What?
And I don't want to get upset. But if I ask you these specific questions, if you say he wasn't trained in natural philosophy, and I ask you where did he go to school, and you can't tell me Cambridge University and that he studied under the natural philosophers because the word scientist didn't exist. So he studied the philosophy of the ancient, the Aristotelian. All of these systems were in place, and this is what they studied. This is the carryover for that 2,000-year period of Aristotelian philosophical structure. These were thought by means of that system. Bacon, for example, explicitly said we need to put the books down and get into the field. So again, how is he not trained in that particular system that existed at that time? Like,
And
You're
Newton
using
relied
the
heavily
words
on
literally,
Newton
and they're
relied
not meant
heavily
to be
on the
literally.
ancients. Newton relied heavily on the ancients. That
Right?
that
I'm
was
not
his thing.
arguing that.
So
I'm not disputing that. But I'm disputing his
you're
semantics.
moving the
That's what I'm
goalposts.
disputing.
I agree.
Not
but you
not
still
the
haven't.
history.
You're saying he doesn't fit within the field of philosophy, but you won't. But you don't even have a criteria that puts him outside of it.
Well,
That's the
for
Thank
crazy.
you.
instance, you
That's
keep
the point,
You
Sosa.
have to
okay.
That's
have.
the
You have to
point.
say
Let
he's
me
not a
give you one.
philosopher. Here's
Let
the
me give you
criteria.
one.
He doesn't fit this.
Let me
This.
give you one criteria. Deductive reasoning. He doesn't fit it. He
He
does not
was
fit.
he was
Yes, he,
trained in medieval natural philosophy.
of course
That's
he
his
It's not
does.
the
training.
same thing as
Yo, you
That's
see
deductive
what
his
I'm
reasoning.
saying,
No,
training.
it's
Cedric?
not. It's
Now
not
you
the
see what
same
I'm saying,
thing.
Cedric?
He's trained in medieval
He's
natural philosophy. It is not
yo,
the
he's
Which
mainstream
is
thing
So
which
he's
is
you're
hold
he
on,
telling me
hold
doesn't
to
on,
fit.
hold
disagree
on,
with
hold
that?
on, hold on, hold on, hold on.
Does his degree say
Listen,
that?
bro. Listen, hold on a second, bro. You're trying to make this like a degree thing. That's what I'm getting.
That's what
Right?
academic
You're
is.
bro, let
Yes.
me finish. Relax. You're trying to make this a degree thing, right? And I'm trying to tell you that not everything in a certain field requires you to have a degree to be in the field. Like
In the
music, for
professional field.
example. Bro, let me finish. Like music, for example. You do not have to have a degree in music to be a musician. Most musicians don't have a degree.
Right.
And you're
Professionally,
forgetting the
you're not a
natural
musician.
evolution of these
bro,
subjects.
hold on, Cedric. Now, if you're talking about like an engineer, I could see where you're talking about having a degree, and still, even in that sense, you do not have to have a degree to be an engineer in music.
Did
So
I say
what
that?
qualifies you? What qualifies you is your work. So Newton's work qualifies him to be a natural philosopher. Not what you say, but what history says, bro. And that's what you're not getting. That's why I don't even want to talk to you no further, bro.
So again, that's a general sense. That's not in a professional academic sense. In that
What
professional
is the-
academic
what
sense,
is-
the degree makes the title. The same way you're saying that Newton is not a scientist because he doesn't
Who
meet the
came
academic
up with the
criteria.
degrees, bro?
Yeah, he
when,
made the
when,
rule.
when did the degrees come up, bro? And who came up with the degrees?
Why are you asking me that question?
I'm asking you that because you're basing the thing on a degree.
Because that's what professional titles
bro,
come
this
from.
has been going on before degrees were a
Brother.
thing. That's my point. You don't get that though.
Now I do get it.
Right.
Music
My
has
screen
been played
is
before
sharing.
there was a
My
degree,
screen
bro.
is sharing.
Let's
My
get to
screen
the
is sharing. Let me read here.
That's why it's a broad sense.
Isaac Newton
Bro,
lived in a
no, you
philosophically
don't get
Yes,
rich and
I do get it.
everybody mute up, mute
Cedric
up.
is
I'm
reading.
reading.
Yo,
I'm
chill
doing
out,
some
chill out.
reading here. I'm reading some Newton's
This
philosophy.
is
Isaac
crazy.
Newton lived in a philosophically rich and tumultuous time. One that saw the end of the Aristotelian dominance of philosophy in Europe, and the rise and fall of the Cartesianism, the emergence of experimental philosophy, later called empiricism, in the 19th century. Do I need to continue? Why do I need to continue?
Yeah, because they're using
Like,
philosophy in a general sense.
bro, this is a Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy. You up here with your opinion. I'm
I
not
didn't come up here with
interested
my
in your
opinion.
opinion. If
You
you
gotta
do
give a
not
source,
have a
bro.
source that supports and corroborates your
Yeah,
position,
show us
your
something, bro.
position is mute on this show.
Just show us something, bro. This is getting ridiculous.
Show you something about what?
The
Actually,
claims that you're
you're
making, but
using-
the sports claim that you're making.
You're the ones making the claim, and I'm saying
Show
it's
us
not.
something that says Newton is
I
not a
just
philosopher.
paused up.
Show me a philosophy source that shows he
He
is.
just showed you one.
So-
You rejected.
No, he didn't.
Stanford
So-
Encyclopedia
there is no-
of Philosophy is not a source. It's not
Did
a
I
source.
say that? Did I say that? No, I didn't.
That's what you just said. Again,
No, I
You
didn't.
said a
Newton's
philosophy
philosophy.
source.
So this is not a
You
valid
said a
source
philosophy
that
source.
identifies him
No,
as a
I'm
natural
asking you-
philosopher.
I'm asking you for a
Is
philosophy.
this
Rose.
not a
Hey,
is
Rose.
this not a credible source that identifies
Is
Newton
it
as
written
a
by a
natural philosopher?
It's
Is
the
it written-
Encyclopedia of Philosophy.
That
What are
doesn't
you
mean
talking
that
about?
doesn't mean the author is a
Okay.
philosopher. That does not
Hey,
mean that.
It's not
Hey,
a
Royce.
it's
Hey,
an
Royce.
encyclopedia, my dog.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what
We're
you're
done. We're done.
He's out
Hey,
of it,
Royce.
yeah.
Hey, Royce. Hey, Royce. Let
There's
me
even
say
a
this.
piece if you scroll down that says that talks about his philosophy. If you keep going down, I don't understand
The
why.
author, is the author a philosopher?
It's
Is the
the
author-
encyclopedia, bro. It's not just.
That
It's not a
doesn't-
goddamn. It's not an article. It's the
I know that.
encyclopedia of
It's the
Stanford
author.
Encyclopedia.
Is the author qualified in
Oh
the
my
degree of
God!
philosophy?
It is not.
All right.
Yes or no?
Britannica, you know, encyclopedias ain't written by one
What
author,
do you
right?
think?
Yeah.
You tell me. I'm
Hey,
asking
Royce.
you.
Encyclopedia.
What do you mean? What do
I
you
didn't
mean
say
an
it's an
author, bro?
encyclopedia.
It's not an article. He just
I
said
didn't
that
say it
it's
was
an
an article.
encyclopedia. Who is the hold on? Who's the author of a
Who's the
dictionary?
author of this? Please.
Who's the author of a
this?
dictionary? Who's the
Who wrote
author
this?
of a Who is the author of a dictionary? You don't seem to listen well.
No, I do listen well. And
No,
I know
you
what
just
I'm
yap,
talking
bro.
about.
For real.
No, I don't. I know what
Yeah,
I'm
you
talking
do,
about.
bro. You just yapping, bro. No, you don't. Because every time they ask you a question, you don't know. So
What
you
do you
don't
mean
know
I
what you're
don't
talking
know?
about. How many times have you told Cedric, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know? You don't
Placing
know.
It's
Newton
not
You don't,
relevant.
you
in
have
You're,
to
the
you're
look
asking
at
me
this full
personal
history
questions.
circle.
of
It's not
natural
relevant.
philosophy. All right,
It's not
another
relevant to the topic.
placing Newton in the history of national philosophy. Traditionally, Newton would be characterized as a mathematician for his work on the calculus and as scientist for his work in physics. His celebrated talent in mathematics is perhaps equal not only to his profound theorizing concerning the physical world, but also his influential experimental methods in optics. Indeed, Newton is remarkable for the fact that his work as a
Theoretician, yeah.
theories is matched by his work as an experimentalist. Either aspect of his oeuvre would be sufficient to secure his place in the history of modern science. So in popular imagination and in the history of books, Newton is seen as one of the greatest scientists of the modern period, on par with few, perhaps others, perhaps Darwin and Einstein. It is unwise to quibble with this perspective, and it is presumably the view that will continue to dominate our understanding of Newton in the 21st century. If we attempt to understand Newton's work from a historical point of view, however, a different and more complex conception emerges. There are historical reasons for resisting the temptation to think of Newton as a scientist. For starters, no such category existed during Newton's day. The category of scientist, along with that word in English, is a 19th century invention, especially at the meeting of the British Association of Advancement in Science in June of 1833. The Cambridge philosopher William Whewell coined the word scientist. At the meeting, Whewell said that just as the practitioners of art are called artists, the practitioners of science ought to be called scientists, indicating that they would no longer be called philosophers. Indeed, before the early 19th century, people like Newton were called philosophers, or more specifically, natural philosophers. I'm done. I'm not reading anymore. I'm not having this conversation anymore. I'm done.
Hence his
At
work.
this point, I'm annoyed.
Hence
I'm
his work
me-
of mathematical nature.
Well, let me ask you this then.
No, don't ask more questions. I want to make a point before you start the new WAPI and ask 100,000 questions, man. You playing.
I'm not going to
So,
ask those questions.
Okay, well, let me make this point. I think it's very clear that the daggone philosophers of the time, the Greeks, right? They definitely wasn't that, right? We know that. They set up schools in Ionia, but they wasn't no damn nobody gave them a degree in that to be that. So by your criterion, then nobody would be a damn philosopher. They didn't have no daggone Thales didn't have no
Thales
degrees.
definitely didn't have no goddamn
He had no
degree.
damn degree. He made this shit up, bro. He's sitting outside. They ain't got no structured schools at all. So by your conversation, you have effectively killed the whole field of philosophy on purpose by your criterion. So if I'm using your criterion and form of thought, no one had a degree to give him that title. They made it up, bro. So you come on, man. You come on, bro.
That's not
And
correct.
the other people that came
word-
philosophy
It is correct.
were just-
It is
No, it's
correct.
not.
Yeah, and the other people that came philosopher were just students of the other one.
Right.
That's it. Just like
Right.
Plato was a student of Socrates.
There you go,
There's a
Sosa.
specific training that goes
There you
with
go,
it, a
Sosa.
specific
No, they
terminology
ain't had no
that goes
training.
with it.
They didn't
There
have no
is
training.
training. There
They
is.
didn't have
It
no-
still
they
is. It
didn't have
still
no-
exists.
They had no
They made it
standard
up.
training.
It
They made
still
it up, bro.
exists. Don't tell
No.
me it doesn't. Don't
All
tell
right,
me it
bro.
didn't
At
exist. It
this
still
point,
exists.
You
At this
talk
point,
about
we're done.
training, and when I talk
It's
about
like
Newton's training, which makes
internship,
him a
yo.
natural philosopher, you still argue against it. Like
It's like
now you're
internship.
arguing
Let me
against
ask you
yourself.
this.
You got
Don't
it,
ask
bro.
me nothing. I showed you Newton being trained in natural philosophy, the Aristotelian way. You say he's not being trained as a natural philosopher. I prove it. You come back
I
now
said-
again talking about the
No, no,
training.
no.
So you're all over the place and you're incoherent at
No,
this
that's
point.
not accurate. That's not accurate. You're using the word natural
What
philosophy.
part? No, what part is not accurate? Let's hear it. Come on, boys.
He's
We're not
talking
getting.
about natural philosophy. Like that's a thing. That's
He
not
said he
a
was.
thing.
He said he was trained in it. So what do you? Go ahead.
He's
Go ahead.
not trained in it. You could tell when someone is trained. Right?
Give me an
There's
example.
there's
Give
a
me. Okay, well,
terminology
tell
that
me.
goes.
Give
There's
me
a
an example how you
terminology
can
that
tell when
goes
somebody's
with it.
trained.
All right, give us
Or
an
the
example.
terminology that they use. That's one way
Okay,
to
give me
tell
the chronology that they use to show that they're trained.
the terminology. Not
What's the
chronology.
terminology that they're using so you can see that they're trained?
For example, deductive
Uh-huh.
reasoning, most people get that wrong,
Okay.
right? So if you don't have concepts of, let's say, what a contradiction is, the proper sense, most people get that wrong in the slang
Okay.
sense,
Okay.
right? So by the, when you use improper terms academically, I know you're not trained.
Okay, so
that's
you're
why I'm
a
telling you,
give an
whether
example
degree
of
or
Newton
not.
doing that.
What's
You're
that?
just giving obscure ideas of what it is. I'm saying.
No, I'm not. I'm giving you criteria of what it is.
So what-
to be
what
trained,
did
you're
you-
getting
what
the
did-
terminology in the correct context.
What did Newton do that showed that he was untrained?
That he didn't use the terminology at
What
all.
terminology?
The philosophical terminology. For example, in deductive reasoning, he didn't use deductive reasoning terminology at all.
What does deductive reasoning originate?
What do you mean? When did it originate?
Yeah, where does deductive reasoning come from?
So again, it's discovered. It's not invented. It's
Where does it
discovered.
come from?
So the founder of deductive reasoning is Aristotle.
Right,
He's the
that's Greek
first
thought.
person to put. He's the first
Right.
person to put it into a curriculum. Before there were
Right.
degrees, right?
Right.
So there was training. It's not this. Not that he.
No, he didn't have no
no,
curriculum.
no.
You made that up.
Yes, he did. Yes, he
All right,
did.
where
It
is it?
still
All right, where,
exists.
No.
okay, let's go get it.
It still
So I can
exists. It's
help-
called Aristotelian logic. It still exists.
No,
What
he
are you
wrote
talking
that.
about?
No, he wrote
That's
he wrote
him.
that.
So how is it
What do you mean
training
that's
if
him?
he's the
There's
one
no
that come up
him.
with it? No, bro. How is it training if he's the one that came up with it?
Because what do you mean? How is it training before?
You
didn't invent it.
bro. You
Yeah,
just
so,
named it by him. You just named it by him.
It's
So
called him.
obviously
It's called-
he would be
it's
the one
called-
that you just, bro.
You need to understand English, brother. I don't understand
You
why you
need
having
to
this
understand
issue.
English. You the one that keeps saying I don't know and be
You don't know because you keep coming
It's
up with your own
remedial at
stuff
this
and
point,
then
bro.
saying I'm saying something and I'm not saying it.
You are
It's
you
named
are saying
after
he's
him.
not
Do you
this and
understand
he's
that?
not that. So he's not saying something. When you say
No,
he's
you don't know
not a
what you're talking
philosopher,
about.
bro. If you say he's not a natural philosopher, aren't you saying something? Aren't you making the
There is no
claim?
such thing as
And
that
you do
title.
realize, in order for Newton to
Did
do what
Aristotle
he
you
call
just
do,
be
himself a
talking,
natural
bro.
philosopher? Did
You just
Aristotle
be
use that
talking.
word? Did Aristotle use that terminology? Did Plato use that terminology? No. You
Huh?
show
So-
me
Come
where they
on,
use
now we're
it.
doing the semantic
You
thing.
just killed your damn point.
You
Oh
doing
man,
this,
So
man.
you saying
that's
Plato?
it. That's it.
Wait,
that's
wait, whoa,
it.
whoa, whoa,
doing
whoa.
this,
No,
Yo,
no,
this
that's
man
it.
is
Wait,
crazy,
No,
yo.
come on.
You've
He
been
just
doing
killed his
that.
own point.
You're done.
No, he
Show
said
me a
Plato.
philosopher that calls
Hold
themselves
on
that.
for a minute. Hold on for a
You're
minute, bro.
done.
So you
You're
saying
done.
Plato and them wasn't philosophers neither?
Did I say that? I didn't say that. I'm saying they are philosophers because of the training. They
Which
didn't have
training did
degrees.
Plato get?
They didn't have
Who
no
trained
training,
Plato?
yo.
They did have training. What are you talking
Who
about?
trained
It still
Plato?
Who
exists.
trained them? Who
I'm
trained
Who
them?
trained Plato?
You
Who trained him?
educate me
You
now,
don't know
bro.
who trained Plato.
we
What are you
do
talking
know who
about?
trained
You say
Plato.
that he
We
had
do know
training,
who
Who
bro.
trained
trained
Plato.
Plato?
Yo, you
You
see what
don't
I'm
know
saying,
because
yo?
you're not.
You tell me.
Now you see what I'm
It
saying,
was
You
yo?
tell me.
Socrates.
Guys,
Plato was a
bugging.
student of Socrates. You don't know because you're not studied in that, and you're
No, you
arguing
don't know
something
what
that you
you're
don't, you're
talking
not
about.
knowledgeable of, bro.
You
Man,
You're
don't know
trying to
what
make
you're
a
talking
bunch of
about.
claims and you don't know shit.
No,
you
you
don't
don't know
know
what
nothing.
you're talking
No,
about.
we
we
ain't
know
cussing.
about
We ain't
Socrates.
cussing.
Everything that we know
You
about
don't know what
Pardon
you're
me,
Socrates.
bro.
talking about. Is
This
there
is what I'm
such a
saying.
thing as a
You're
real
arguing
person,
about things that you
Socrates?
don't even know,
Are you
bro.
sure? Are you sure there's a real person, Socrates? Are you sure?
Everything that we know about Socrates.
Everything you
Listen,
know is
Honest, you
you're
been in here?
talking while I'm
retarded.
talking, and you still don't even,
You're
you
retarded.
don't even know, bro.
That's
So
it.
my
Don't,
point is,
don't use the R
this.
word.
No,
Hold on,
let's
hold
do
on,
this.
hold on.
Hold on, let's do this real quick.
Hold on.
Hey, let's do this.
Everything
Let's
that
not call each other names. Let's not do that.
Listen, everything that we know about
Call somebody
Socrates.
retarded though. Hold on, but he called somebody retarded.
Hold
That's
on, let
not
me finish.
name call.
Listen, everything that we know about Socrates, because he didn't write anything down, comes from his student Plato, who was there
You went in
when
there already?
Socrates was killed. That's why we know that Plato was a
You did
student
that?
of Socrates. So it's like we argue. It's like dude don't even understand. I was like, he just arguing with just the ignorance. He's showing us the encyclopedia, Stanford Encyclopedia. He said, "Who's the author?" You don't like that because it's the author. Like they're using a general sense. That's just crazy, bro. That's just sickening. And Newton used both inductive and deductive reasoning.
Listen, we're not doing the column
Inductive
A.
and deductive is a part of
I
the
didn't know
scientific method.
dictionaries. I didn't know dictionaries had authors.
Encyclopedia.
So again, you're not well versed in this. The existence of Socrates is questionable. There's a reason why there's no writings for it. There's
So now
no,
you're moving
there is
the
no
goalpost.
evidence that you
Your
could
point,
call
Then
your
it.
how
point.
do
There is
you
no,
Now
know?
you're
there is
moving
no,
the
there is
goalpost.
no
Hold on,
evidence
hold
that
on,
he's
hold
Now
on,
you're moving
existed.
Cedric.
the goalpost.
Listen,
Then
we can say the
how do
same
you
thing about
quantify?
Hippocrates.
You can say the same thing
Hold
about
on, hold
Jesus.
on.
You can say the same
Hold
thing
on,
about
hold
No,
on.
Elijah.
how
One
do you
one
quantify
at a
that
time.
he's
One
a
at a time.
philosopher?
Can I just let me
What?
just finish the Socrates point getting up and go and we can go ahead and
All
what
right.
we know, even though you can say that Socrates it didn't exist, or you want to say there's no evidence he existed, the stories that we do have from Socrates are from Plato. That's why
Yes,
we know about
that's
Socrates.
why they say he
Because
didn't
Plato,
exist.
Wait.
I can't, bro. It's like you want to argue when I'm talking. So that tells me that you're not listening, bro. And I can't. I'm not gonna keep doing it, bro. You got it, bro. I'm good, Cedric.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good too. Because at a certain point, I'm cussing somebody out, and I know that's not
Yeah,
the
I
proper
mean,
decorum.
we talking and arguing. That shows me that you're not even listening. Yeah, so I don't know what else to say.
Get in there, bro.
Yes, sir. So I'm asking you, bro, if you don't know what quantifies you to say that he is a philosopher. Crickets. Chirp, chirp.
I'm just saying, everywhere you look is going to tell you fucking Plato was a student of Socrates, whether you believe he existed or not. Do you believe Plato? Shit.
Yeah, it's a lot.
My thing
It's a
is he's
lot.
making a lot of claims and then he's got nothing to back it when you ask him questions
Yeah, it's
down
a
the
lot.
line. He's like, I don't know.
He
So if
said he
you
don't know.
don't know, how do you know how to make the claim? It doesn't make sense to me. You bring up music as an example, and I'm like, do you even play music?
Does it matter? Do I play music?
Bro? Now you want to answer? I asked you a question before you didn't answer, so don't interrupt me.
Well, I didn't understand your question. That's why I'm asking.
So say that.
I did
I
say
was there
that.
saying crickets. No, you didn't. I
did
didn't hear
say that.
anything.
I
Did
did say
anybody hear
that.
anything?
Yes, I
Did
did.
anybody hear anything?
No.
Because I didn't hear anything. To
What?
the
So you
point that
can't
I
hear me
said
now?
cricket.
So you can't hear me now, but you didn't hear me when I said that? I
No,
asked you
I
to
did
rephrase
not.
your question.
I never
Can you
heard that,
rephrase the
bro.
question so I can answer it?
Bro, I never heard that. That's why I said cricket.
Okay, so I'm asking you to rephrase it because I didn't
So
hear your question.
Okay,
at
so
this
I'm gonna rephrase the question.
Yeah, we
you're
need a source,
arguing,
bro. Yeah.
you're arguing from your perspective. We need a
No, I'm
source.
not. I'm not
I've
arguing
showed
my
you
perspective.
several sources that clearly articulate him as a philosopher. Now, if you have
It's
documented
not written by a
evidence,
philosopher, brother. It has to
now,
be somebody in the field
please,
that you're
so
questioning.
watch. You stated that over and over. Now you need a source.
What do you mean I need a source? You're using sources that are not in the field that you're questioning.
So now provide us with a source that says what you says. Philosophers conclude Plato, Aristotle, Newton, these people are not natural philosophers. We don't
You
care
didn't
what the
call
history of
themselves natural
science says.
philosophers.
We don't care what the encyclopedia of philosophy says. This is the body of philosophers that decided these are not philosophers. You have a source to
It's the
support the
school of
argument you're making.
philosophy, bro, at Stanford. The school of philosophy at
That doesn't mean
Stanford.
that
It
doesn't
do mean
mean the
that.
author
Doesn't
of
matter.
that
It's in the
Okay.
school of
article is a
philosophy, bro. You
philosopher.
bugged out right now.
Yeah. Now,
Me
at
get
this
down,
point,
bro. It's the
conversation is over.
school of philosophy, bro.
Yeah, we
So
gotta
you're
move on.
arguing
I'm not arguing my opinion. Why do you
position
people say
without
that?
being able to provide a source. Like
Why do
everything we
people
saying, we have a source to support it. You are
do you have a
arguing from
philosophy source
semantics.
written
All right,
by a
one second.
It
One
don't
second.
matter.
Hold on.
Whether you agree or not, it's a source. Go get any source that you got.
I just got one thing to
Get an
say.
article written by a nigga in Brooklyn or something. I don't care what. Get something, bro. Get something, bro.
And when I asked Roy C, I said, Roy C, was you trained in that? Was you trained? No, wait a minute. I said, did your professor teach you that? You know what you said? You said no. That's what got me.
Yeah, I'm
Because
done.
I know you think you know what you're talking about, bro. And I know you've been trained. So I said, did your professor say that? That's something you came up with in your head. Now, I don't mind that.
That's not correct.
Okay, so do you learn that in your class? That's what I'm asking you, bro. That's all. Is that what y'all discussed? This,
not-
like that?
Yes,
No,
it's not one professor, right? It's
no,
not just one person.
it's not one. It was a couple. I
No.
mean, a couple of y'all agreed on that.
Did that professor write anything? Can we go to it?
Let's pray. Let's play.
Here you go with the personal opinions again.
No, I'm asking. Did he write something that we can look at?
Yes,
Can we
yeah.
examine?
And why do you need to do that? They're qualified in philosophy.
No, because we only have your word that he's saying. We want to critique it. We want to look at what he's saying and see if it makes sense.
What you're doing is craziness. You're trying to look for flaw. You're not trying to be sincere with your question.
No, we're skeptic, so we want to see if you can present something so we can look at it.
Cynical. No, you're not skeptic. You're cynical.
So you don't have a store.
Yeah. Do you have anything that you
source?
can show
It's a
other than
field.
your word? Other than your word, some professor.
Like I can't give you a sentence and then I can't. It's a field of study.
No. I'm not interested in your opinion. Up here, your opinion is zero valid. We are sourcing up. We're talking about the history of science and the philosophy of science, and we're quantifying and codifying these people based on what the evidence support. We do science communication. Now, we can be wrong. So you're going to have to provide a source that says, based on this criteria, these people are not considered. The argument is ongoing within the. Provide us with a source. Your opinion is of zero value here. Zero. Last time, zero value. Put you back up.
But Cedric, hold on, Cedric. I think at this point, if that's his discussions amongst his professors, then surely we should be able to read that somewhere. Is everybody just sitting around in the grass philosophizing on that point?
They're just making it up then?
That's all I'm asking, bro.
I'm saying it's part of the training. It's
okay, so I know. So if it's part of the training, I'm not going to. But then we should be able to read that. You get it?
Why do you need to read that?
Because then how is it part of the training? Because that's a profound.
Well, hold on. What do you mean? How is it part of the training?
Because that is a profound. Listen. That's a very definitive.
You're breaking up.
What you got going on, like background? Huh?
I just said that's a very definitive statement there. Very definitive to the point where it has to be included in literature till we can read that statement. That's all we're saying, bro.
Exactly.
Like you got to understand that point. That's not a regular old statement there. That's a serious. Hold on, like that's a moment we're in a textbook. You see a stop sign. Let's ponder this. That's one of them types of statements, bro. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. You can't make that statement and say it's part of the curriculum and can't source up.
You're going to have to vacuum.
We're dealing with the philosophy of science, and it doesn't say that anywhere, that it's even an ongoing discussion. Where else would we find that? So you're just, we need to take your word from it. You're some authority in this matter.
Again, so your criteria, like what you're judging me on is craziness, and I'm trying to get you to stay away from that. Steer you away from that.
I do not care what you say.
I don't.
So if you don't have a source, we're not having this conversation because you're opposite to what the actual sources say. And the only way that gains credibility is if we can actually read it for ourselves. So your opinion is not relevant in this setting unless you can provide a source.
What if I said
we're dealing with the phenomena and not the noumena, and the phenomena requires a source.
What is my what if I said that was my opinion?
I don't care what you say.
If it's your opinion, we don't care
what
you say.
What did I say that was my opinion? That's what I'm asking you.
Okay, everything you said so far is your opinion. Because you haven't provided any documentation to
because I don't have a source. I can't possibly know anything. So
you don't know. We don't trust you. Over here, we deal
why
with
are you asking me for stuff if you don't trust me?
You need to provide a source. You come up here and you're attempting to undermine the position of the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy. You cannot do that by means of noumena because you said so. You're in an academic setting, so we operate within the phenomena. So we need evidence to support the claim you're making. If that is taught within the House of Academia, within your syllabus, we should be able to find it, as you just stated.
I didn't state that.
That's it. I'm done. You're out of here. That's it.
Does he claim to have like a degree in philosophy or something? Like, what was he trained in?
No, don't put him out. He good. Don't put him out.
What was he trained in, though? What was he trained in?
Right.
Y'all,
What was he trained in?
So, all right, let's ask him. What was you trained in?
You have a degree in philosophy or something?
Yeah, you got a degree in philosophy?
Yes, I do. And I understand the correct terminology, and you're not using
How
it.
can you have a degree in
help us out.
philosophy and don't even know that Plato was a student of Socrates?
I do know that, but the whole point is
No, when I asked you, bro, when I asked you,
and I gave you an objective answer. Stop. I gave you an objective answer because Socrates is said not to exist. You're not understanding English.
Nobody says Socrates does not exist.
They do say that.
That's not a claim. No, they
do say that.
No, there's secondary and independent sources that validate Socrates lived. That now what we know about him is not primary, but what we do know about him, what we do.
Show it,
bro.
You show it then,
bro. Go. I'll tell you what. This should be easy.
How are you guys trying to?
This should be easy then, since you have a degree in philosophy, bro. Go get the source that says Socrates.
You get the source.
Right. I'm not doing it with you, bro. I'm not doing it with you, bro.
You're telling me
I'm not doing it. Everything I gotta go get. Go get a source that says Socrates didn't exist.
Why is it I'm only one with the source and stuff? How come you guys?
You ain't source nothing. What are you talking about?
You're not sourcing anything
because
either.
you're the one making claims that has not yet.
Based off what you said. I'm making. I didn't just come up here and make claims.
Hey, voice.
You made a claim and then
actually came up here making claims.
Wait a minute. I brought you sources. Hold on. I brought you sources, yo.
You brought me sources in what field? Was it philosophy?
Man, we brought. It's called. First of all, it's forceful. It was Stanford School of Philosophy, where the professors are teaching. Hold on, bro. Listen, bro.
Bro. Listen.
Yeah.
He is capping, bro.
Yeah, he capped. They capped.
There's no way he has a degree in philosophy.
Yeah.
I don't understand that the historical position is that he existed. He already messed that up. He's messing too many things up to have a degree in that, bro. I ain't going for it, bro. I ain't playing pretend with niggas, bro.
I appreciate you, bro. But appreciate the conversation, yo. I like to push it. I like that. I appreciate the conversation, bro. But goddamn, you put us at a wild impasse at this point.
Yeah, we ain't on no impasse.
I'm not sure if you're just trying to get us excited, trying to get cussed out, trying to have a good fun conversation. Because I think it's healthy for us to have this conversation, right?
I'm trying to get the reason properly.
You know what I think?
Listen, I don't actually have a problem with that. Hey,
I think Newton is being a scientist and then misuse the word philosophy.
No, you keep maybe that was Cedric's thing. That's fine, yo.
I'm not talking. He don't know philosophy. He doesn't have to be the philosopher.
You have no clue what you're talking about at this point.
Does not have
I think he got a degree in gaslighting.
I'm saying, bro, like I haven't even been studying philosophy that long, the Greeks and that long, bro. And I know all this stuff, bro.
No, you don't.
I just started shit not too long ago.
Nah, bro.
Nothing about the terminology.
You pretend and you have been in environments where your gauge for Gallup has sounded good before, but when you're in an actual environment where people know this stuff, you're out of your depth. That you keep saying that. But you can't establish or prove anything that you're saying. Each question I ask you a don't know. Like
the man said Socrates didn't exist. He learned that in school. Bro. I'm not talking to him.
What?
I'm not talking to him. Bro.
Did I say that? Did I say that, King Sosa? Did I say that? No.
Every time you say something, then we prove it wrong. You say you didn't say that. Newton was trained in Aristotelian philosophy. He was a natural philosopher from the Aristotelian school of thought. He was trained in Cambridge in that system. He was a natural philosopher by means of his education.
Did he get a degree?
He was trained by means of his education in natural
Plato and Socrates
and Bailey
and they didn't have degrees, bro.
The same degree that Aristotle had.
Nope.
Aristotle
they didn't have degrees.
Thank you very much.
No Greek scholar had degrees,
you said
Cambridge,
bro.
though.
You said Cambridge. That's a qualified
Greek
school.
philosophers had
so
degrees,
he would have
bro.
to have had a degree or he dropped out. Which one is it?
Oh man, bro, you do not get it.
Yeah, bro. Like
there were no. How do you not know that there were no degrees at that time?
Cambridge is a university that still exists. Come on,
it's a waste of time,
Cambridge
bro.
still exists. Don't say
All
and tell
right,
me
right.
what to do.
Yes, right. Okay, right.
know
Okay,
that
right. Thank you very much for being up here on the panel.
He's capping, bro. Like he don't know.
I'm winding down the
You don't know, bro.
the 2 hour
Hey,
mark.
Ask
Can
him
you
about
hear me,
Socrates. He
Cedric?
said Socrates did not exist. I said, where you learned that?
You
When did I
look
say
it
that?
up.
I'm not. No,
You
no.
go look it up. You go look it up. Don't
I'm
question
not
me.
looking it up,
Go
bro.
look
I
it
already
up.
know what it is.
No, you
I'm
don't.
not looking
You're
it
not
up.
trained. You go look it up.
I'm not
Oh
arguing.
my.
Every time a pseudo come with
You
no
can
source, I
argue
need to
with a
look
man that
everything up.
can't provide a source that
Yeah.
says he's
No,
academically
there's
trained
plenty
in
of
that
sources you can
position.
find.
He's
There's plenty of
academically
sources.
trained. He's academically trained in a
Yeah.
particular
Give me a
position,
credible
ladies
source,
and
bro.
gentlemen. But he cannot
This is
provide
ridiculous, bro.
anything that supports the
Because
claim
he
that he's making.
It went towards it.
does not have a degree in philosophy, bro. I promise you, no. I promise you, bro.
Bro, like
Would not
again,
talk
you're
this way.
operating in the phenomena. If you study that particular position, like Ankh said, it would be part of your syllabus. It would be part of the program because this is groundbreaking. This is moving the philosophical position that we see now within Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy. I just pulled it up. That position would be overturned. That would be groundbreaking. We would have been talking about that. Where is the evidence
Oh,
to
you put him
support
off the
that?
panel? You put him off the
Yeah,
panel?
yeah. I'm done. I'm
Why
done.
you put him off the panel?
We
He
just
not-
arguing for
Because I'm
no
done.
fucking reason.
Yeah, we
He
don't gotta
he-
keep.
He ain't got
Yeah,
no
we don't
source.
gotta keep arguing.
What are we
Yeah,
doing after
I'm
that,
not
bro?
Yeah,
gonna
no,
read
no,
to
we
the
don't
point.
gotta. I'm saying we can just say that's the end of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the end of that.
I don't. That's what I don't want to
I'm
happen.
trying to figure
Bro,
out
I'm not. If you put up the encyclopedia and I ask you
Stamp.
who the author is, why are
Right.
you? Why do I want to entertain that, bro?
Yeah,
You
there's
want
an
to know who
argument.
the authors of a staff? Come on, bro.
Stanford
You
Encyclopedia.
can
You're
tell when
asking the author.
somebody is trained or at least have knowledge by how fluently they speak about the topic. Everything is fucking vague. They don't speak the lingo. You can tell, like when I heard Ben Eaton talk, I didn't even know he went to school, bro. But when he started speaking about the subject,
You can tell.
and the cup, you can tell, bro. You can tell. Like even I don't know if he had a degree, but I could tell he's well studied based on the nuance, how you frame his argument, the position he make is very like you can see it, bro.
That's for sure.
When
I
you're
like
having a conversation, we're talking
I
about
like
his
I like Wishful Common though. I like him. He just got to learn how to conversate better with the bros though. Can't gaslight, cut people off though.
Man, bro.
I think he knows something, but I think he don't know how to convey it right.
Wait.
I think he's semi scamming us though. Semi.
I think he's just
full scamming. At this point,
I think he's full fledged. I think he's
No,
full
you know how
fledged,
you,
bro.
you know how you went to school like 10 years ago and you kind of forgot a part or two. I think he
can't forget that.
pressure. And then they may have challenged the ideas because like the school, whatchamacallit, Thales, right? He ain't had no formal school or none of that shit. But when you read it, they constantly said, but in actuality, he didn't have no damn formal school, no textbooks or nothing. You know what I mean? So yeah, but you gotta make sure you convey that right. You gotta convey that right. That's all I'm saying.
Bro, and all those people did to become they did apprenticeship. That's how they became, that's it, bro.
Yeah, that's it.
why
Correct.
everybody is,
Correct.
Everybody's a student of another.
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's
I did in the presentation, I showed the photo of
It's like
schools when they're all standing around philosophizing in books and they're reading books and they're writing books. That was what they did. That was it. Now, when you look at how this thing became formalized over time, right? During that same scientific revolution, that same epistemic rupture, you get that these things become formalized, right? This is going over here, right? You have theological philosophy, you have the natural philosophy, which produces science. Then you have what do they call that thing? Metaphysical philosophy. That's split in two branches. Things like justice and love and these type of untouchable realities. And then you have the supernatural metaphysical stuff that ties along with the theological. There are categories within this framework that were developed later on. So when you're speaking now from an academic perspective, well, philosophy is this and that. And you're talking about from a developed point of view. So you're not speaking from a historically accurate narrative. First of all, you haven't provided one single shred of evidence to contradict the encyclopedia of Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy. Everything we read establishes these people as such. You're making a claim. If you're making such a claim, even with your academic rigor, you should understand that it is supported by evidence.
Hey, Cedric, why not just go to the Encyclopedia Stanford? Go back to that source you read from the Encyclopedia Stanford,
You
from the
don't say.
School of Philosophy, and
You
figure
don't
out who
say.
wrote that.
But
You
listen,
don't say.
yeah,
You
y'all
don't
hear
say.
me?
Yes, sir.
All right, real quick, because it's easy to dead that, right? He said that Aristotle was a philosopher, correct?
Yes, sir.
And
He
he
had no
said
degree
Plato
though,
was exactly my point.
because it's
Because there
time
was
period
no such
sensitive.
thing as degrees at that
Yeah,
point.
Yeah, I
Exactly.
mean,
So why is he even talking?
well,
that's
because
what
the
I'm
next
saying.
move is to say,
It
go ahead.
just shows that he does it. That's just crazy to me, bro. And then he's gonna say Newton didn't use deductive reasoning. What the fuck
Crazy.
is
Huh?
math? What is math?
Huh?
No,
Huh?
That's
that
what I'm
ain't what
saying.
he
I
said.
can't argue.
He
It's
didn't.
like,
He,
yo,
he
at
didn't
some
say he
point,
didn't use it. No, he didn't say he didn't use it. Now, so what he said is
I thought you sure?
yeah, he said
like
Newton didn't
you
use
don't have
deductive
to put
reasoning.
it.
He used inductive to get to his general laws, and then he used math as the deductive reasoning, bro. Like I can't. It's like
But he said
you're going
from
and
what I
going
heard is
out.
like he said he didn't write it in his work. But why would you have to
No,
write
no,
it?
no, 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 no,
I
no.
shouldn't. Bro,
It is in his work. The math is deductive reasoning. That's what the math
Yes.
I
provides.
know,
The
I know
math.
he used it. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I got from him, what he was saying is like he didn't write like I play music and I didn't write that in a song that I play music. Like why should I have to write it
What I'm
in
saying is, Gideon, what I'm expressing to you is that all of that, the mathematics, all of it is a part of it, bro. He's not doing what you're saying he did. All of that is in it. Like even today, when you do the scientific method, it's both inductive and deductive. You start off inductive, and then you
exactly
use deductive. So all of it's in that framework, bro.
correct.
Yeah, and then it's
So
like
you don't have to say that I'm actually doing it because you're doing it.
it's in the work.
You get what I'm
It's
saying,
in the
bro?
Yeah.
work.
But
It's
you
built.
don't have
It
to
is.
say that you're doing it because you're doing it.
Yeah, it is that. That is what it is.
Yeah, it's time. It's
Exactly.
also time sensitive.
I don't have to tell you.
It's
Yeah.
time sensitive
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
then the person will argue, well, right now today, he's a scientist. He doesn't. Everybody don't have degrees. Wait a minute, bro. It's time. In this time period we're talking about now, you have
Yeah.
to have degrees. In that time
Yeah.
period, there was no such thing. It was just like Sosa said, right?
I don't know
You
what
had to be
deductive is.
trained, right, by a person, right? So that's it's time sensitive, yo. So I'm
Internship.
confused on how anybody could be a
Yeah,
natural
like
philosopher at
internship.
that point. Aristotle, Plato's, right? So I mean, yeah, but I don't know about.
Oh
Yeah,
boy.
he went far, but at least he agreed with half the conversation, though. He agreed that
So
he's saying
look.
in the general sense they were scientists, and he hit us with the general sense. It was
Yeah,
crazy. He just
that's
had a whole
debating
professor
stage.
on and talked about that.
A few professors he talked to in school.
And then he's saying there's no such thing as natural philosophy. Like what?
Huh?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, a
Isaac
person wrote a book
Newton.
called Natural
That's what he
Philosophy.
said. He said that.
How you write a book called Natural
Yo,
Philosophy?
I'm telling
Participate
you,
in
he
the
said
field.
that, bro. I know Cedric heard it.
Yep.
Well,
Cedric heard it. He said that. He
Yep.
said there is no such thing as
That's
natural
natural
philosophy.
philosophy.
And I'm like, bro, who
Huh?
made you the authority to say that? I said it in the chat. This is before I came up.
Yes. Yes. Now, if you look here, I'm gonna go to the
Said that, bro.
last sentence. I'm gonna go to the last sentence. And ironically, with the possible exception of Spinoza, Newton engaged with or personally influenced the other five canonical philosophers of the early modern era. Thus, Newton's contribution to and influence on early modern philosophy is a rich topic. What are we talking about here? Isn't this the Stanford?
who wrote the
Stanford,
article? Cedric?
It's Stanford,
I,
bro.
I think it's the author though. Ain't the author
the
on that paper?
author?
An author. This
This is
Okay.
this
It's
is
a collection
summary
of
a
work done and be
collection.
verified by many authors. It's not going to
Yeah,
be like a think piece where Steve.
Okay, yeah. From the school
yeah.
of philosophy, right?
This is school of philosophy.
Stanford. That's the
Yeah,
author. Stanford.
look, they're referring you when you press that. It refers you here. Look,
What?
look.
I'm looking.
The
It is a
sources.
summary of all these studies. Look, studies. Look. These are who wrote this. Look.
Yeah, it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to fight Stanford, yo. Man, it's an Ivy League
Do I need
college,
to?
yo. They specialize.
I'm down to 24, 25.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue against that. That's tough. That's tough right there. That's tough.
What
That's
are we
Stanford, yo.
doing
Ivy
here?
League. That's tough. That's tough, yo. They got a top-notch
Even in
department.
Newton's home university,
It's tough,
Cambridge,
bro.
and
Yeah,
alma
and then-
mater, Trinity College, his work and ideas did not displace those of the Cartesians within
It's
the
tough,
standard
bro.
curriculum until roughly 1700. Indeed, Cartesianism was so popular that the vice chancellor of Cambridge University, Edmund Boldero, decreed in November 1688 that undergraduates could no longer base their disputations on Descartes, but had to use Aristotle instead. Well, Aristotle is what are you teaching
You
here?
said he didn't exist.
Huh?
No, he says he was talking about Socrates. You know what I'm
Socrates.
saying?
Yeah, but he said
No.
that this
Because-
wasn't taught. That
Who had to go to
Newton
trial?
wasn't
Plato or Socrates?
trained
Plato
and
was the court,
instructed in philosophy.
right? Who had to go to court? Was it Plato?
It was Socrates. It was Socrates that was killed. We had to drink.
So
a
he
little-
said
a
he
little
didn't
wine.
exist, yo. He said, hold on.
He said it didn't exist because Socrates didn't write
No, he
anything
went to-
down. So all
He
his,
went to
all
court.
his, yeah, but
So
he
Socrates
didn't write
went to
anything down himself. So there's
He didn't
nothing.
have to, but it's in court record though. They took the man to court, bro.
Yeah, they got records that were taken to court. I think, but most of what we know comes from different sources, whether Zephaniah,
Yes. I agree with
Plato,
that.
yeah, like that, because they
They
wrote
have-
about it. So
Yeah,
they
I read
use
it,
that
yo.
to verify it. But I'm saying,
Yeah,
regardless of that,
yeah,
bro, the historical position is that existed. That's flat out. We don't got to even go. That's what
right.
it is.
Because
Yeah. Oh my God. Yo,
if you
that's
go to
crazy.
court, hold on. If you go to court and you get killed, you can't write about that. You won't be the one writing about that, bro. So
Yeah,
the
that's
record's
crazy,
gonna come
man.
from
It was a
somebody else.
record that he went to court, yo.
Yeah,
They
I mean, he
actually
never
have
wrote.
records.
Socrates was like a pauper, poor. Like he didn't engage material wealth. Everything he done was verbal. He didn't write. He didn't have any writings his whole life. He held
Right.
open court
Okay,
debates
I
in
understand.
Greece. So nothing about him is known from his own writings. We know about him from independent sources of his students that wrote about him. And Plato is a student
Gotcha.
of Socrates.
But who
Right,
wrote about
right,
him
right,
going to court though? Because I read it. I read the court thing and what
I
his
don't know if
words
he's in
said.
the court record. I never really checked.
Yeah, man. If Socrates, they killed him for
Yeah,
being
but
an
I don't know if
atheist.
that's a part of the record.
Hell yeah. Yep. They got the
saying,
man. You
you
can
know
look it
for
up.
sure?
I'm sure, yo. If Socrates the one went to court, he went to court. They got it. Right? He and in the court he talked and he said, I'm not an atheist. I believe in God. He said, I believe in God, Sophia, or something like that. It's right there. Y'all can pull that up. I'm driving. I would definitely pull that
From
up.
Plato. I'm saying you're hearing things that probably was said, but these are coming from Plato, Xenophon, people like that. You know what I'm saying, but that doesn't mean that's come from Greece itself.
No, I ain't saying what's coming from him.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna look into it. I got
So
to look
it
into
says. So I just pulled up, or we can maybe find.
Okay.
It said no surviving official court transcript exists,
it.
but the
Okay.
consistency across sources is strong evidence. So they talk about, students and other and independent people that wrote about them. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So that's how they verify it.
Okay. All right.
So no different than different than other figures. It's BC time. You'd be surprised. Like they don't.
Right.
Some people
Let me
question
read this little
the
piece
existence of
here again.
Hippocrates.
Yeah,
You
let
know
me
what I'm
read this little
Yeah.
piece here again. As in the title of Newton's magnum opus, Philosophia Naturalis Principia Mathematica, Mathematical Principles of the Natural.
It's stupid. It's stupid, bro.
Of what?
It's stupid.
Natural philosophy suggests he intended his work to be in dialogue with Descartes, not a natural philosopher,
Principle of philosophy. Yeah.
Principia de Filosofia. Principles of philosophy. What are we talking about? A
Yeah, but he don't
complex
trust
text
that.
that
He don't
includes,
trust that. Said that's somebody that's he don't trust them.
that's his business. A complex text that includes discussion on everything from the laws of nature to the nature of God's casual influence on the world. Isn't that natural philosophy 101? Just as Descartes sought to replace Aristotelian or scholastic methods and doctrines in natural philosophy, in what?
I didn't see
Newton
this
sought
coming.
his work to replace Descartes. It is
You don't
therefore
you
more
don't trust
historically
that, but
accurate
we
than
don't
most
trust
witness.
him.
So y'all, he's trying to get rid of Socrates, yo, just to argue with us about him not being a natural philosopher, yo.
As is well known, natural philosophy in the Aristotelian tradition of the 13th through the 16th century involves the analysis of Aristotelian ideas about the natural world, especially within the Christianized context of the medieval period. Philosophers studying nature were often actually studying texts, such as commentaries of Aristotle, rather than conducting experiments or engaging in observation. What did we learn about Bacon? Bacon said, you got to get your hands dirty, right? Because this philosophical approach, natural philosophical approach, was the ruling order. That's why this whole presentation was about all these individuals that was on the bridge. So after doing the work and putting that together, you cannot jump up here and tell me that nonsense without having a valid source. You're making shit up. Sorry for the French. My bad. But yeah, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah,
We're
sources.
not doing
A
that.
couple of his, he was trained. A couple few different people say it. It's like what? That's what I'm saying. Like, come on, bro. That's supposed to be an easy win. You know what I'm saying? He's supposed to be able to go to a real fast. Boop, 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 boop. Here it is right here.
Boom, boom,
You know what
bam,
I'm saying?
bam. Here you go.
Even if it don't say it directly, bro, we can comprehend it, bro. You know what I'm saying? Based on the writing, it'll tell you what's being, you know what I'm saying, what's being said. But come on,
Evidence based.
bro.
Do non-Christian
Like I said,
anyway.
yeah, like I said,
These
the minute
are
I said
non
Plato's student
sequitur.
Socrates, you say Socrates don't exist, I'm disqualifying you, bro.
Yeah,
And you come back to the
that's
I
it.
am. I'm
By the
disqualifying
time
you.
you start to try to quantify a historical conversation with modern context, like when you look at a doctor from the turn of the century, are you going to equate him to a doctor today? But are you going to disqualify him as a doctor as well? Like he's saying, like, come on,
Who
man.
said the idea of Socrates not existed was brought up by Walter Williams? Shit, that might say enough right there. Walter Williams wrote the metadata has not been deciphered. You know what I mean? The minute you say he
Walter
didn't exist,
Williams.
that means you're stepping outside of academia, bro. If that's what you're doing, fine, bro. Then we can't really have a conversation.
So yes, in the methodological naturalism way, if you have no evidence, your claim is dismissed. Especially if I have evidence to the contrary. You're opposing the evidence that we have. The evidence that we have is the consensus is from the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy. You cannot discredit that source or that school, right? You simply can't. The moment you can't do that, you would
I ain't
have
all
to
passing that, yo.
substantiate the claim you're making with evidence. Without evidence, there is no claim. There is nothing. There is only the noumena, an arbitration, arbitrary assertion. You telling us you did it in school, but by all means, I don't believe you. This is pseudo-killer Sunday school. You need evidence. This is how this works around here. You cannot
Yeah,
simply
I
say,
ain't doing that.
I know, and try to get us trapped up in the academic nomenclature back and forth and trying to show your superiority. No, it doesn't work like that.
Mac
Mac
Rob,
Rob in the building.
what's going
Yo,
on, man?
yo, yo. Can y'all hear me?
What up, Matt Grub?
You
Yes,
hear you
sir.
loud and clear, bro.
Man, how we get caught arguing with that dude? Like, how we go 60 minutes of nonsense? You know, it was
man.
interesting though. It's always interesting to see people that think in different perspectives and stuff like that. And once you start putting the pressure on them to bring forth sources to substantiate the position, claiming to be a person who holds a degree in that field, That's wild. And I'm like, okay, well, if you want to train in that particular field, for example, if you ask me what is the criteria to be a nurse or a paramedic, I'm gonna send you straight to a website, right? I'm gonna lay out the list that members who are in that field follow to become qualified in said subject. So you can't gatekeep or just verbally announce things without providing us with a logical pathway to become what you say they need to become, or to do what you say they need to do to qualify as such. So it was just it's just weird to me, man. Like, I don't know, y'all. It was frustrating to chat. I can't even lie.
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
frustrating.
it was highly frustrating, bro. Like, come on. At a certain point, I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. If you have something, it would be interesting, right? Because the same
Yeah,
way we could over here, maybe philosophers do, but this is the criteria. It is open to discussion. We could be wrong. I have
Look,
no
Dip.
issue with it. But you're not going to try and gaslight me. And yo, he's not using the correct terminology. Based on who?
right,
Based on your modern definition and the criteria you use today? You're equating what they did. However, they are the ones that establish the parameters in which you operate today. So how does this make sense? And then he's trying to do the correlation to science. No, bro. Science is a word established long after these people were dead. Retroactively, you can apply it, right? Retroactively, giving them a certain amount of credit. However, like the article says, when you dive into the epistemic framework, the way they were processing information, that framework is what determines what you're doing. You can be doing an observation in the same observation in 10 different epistemic regimes and have 10 different objectives of doing the quote unquote observation. That's why I never get into that type of
Yeah,
conversation. It's
that's a
irrelevant.
good point, Cedric. Don't move. Stay right there for a minute. So you can be an indigenous person at 350,000 years and be observing things in nature, yo. But that's a whole different set of value system and judgment that you're putting on nature. Am I correct in that?
That's exactly the point we're trying to make
Yeah.
the whole time.
Yeah, hey, good. All
Yeah.
y'all don't ban them. You feel me? Time out,
I
whatever.
didn't
Don't
ban
ban
him. I didn't ban him. Put him in time
No,
out.
don't ban them.
I didn't ban
Don't
anybody.
ban
I
them.
put him in time out.
Don't ban them.
No, I didn't ban him.
Okay, good. Good. I just want to know. At a certain point, I wanted him to show us how he reached his conclusions, and that he could not do. That's the part that
right.
kind of got me. I had a conversation with my professor in school in 1939. Like, come on, yo.
Yeah,
I never
not
heard
just
that
that.
before.
Not just it, a couple other professors too.
Yeah. That's what got me. I
Yeah.
was like,
So yeah. Don't discredit that man. Like a couple more.
Yeah, we done heard
yeah,
this
that was
before, bro.
strange. Just a little bit. Because I could imagine being in a college course. Professors have ideas that they throw out their personal opinions. And I
Right,
understand that. But at a certain point, you can't go out to the rest of the world and promote your professor's personal opinion. It
right.
has to be backed by some type of literature. And that claim right there would be easy to find. We could actually read up on it and get the gist of what he's saying. That's the only point I was
Of
making. He
course,
just was kind of speeding up the conversation.
man.
I didn't like that.
He had nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was terrible.
I
I didn't
cut
like that.
everybody
If
off.
he had something, he'd have went straight to it. At least Thunder come with a
Something.
fistball up behind his back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He got at least a paragraph. He's going to hit you with as hard as he can.
Yeah.
I respect that. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I will. Okay, maybe again, indeed, it could be possible, right? There's a philosophers that are arguing, and they have this hypothesis or they see this, and he's bringing it in, and well, maybe, yeah, but you cannot just arbitrarily state that,
Mm-mm.
and especially in the context of the historical
Yes.
conversation we're having, and I'm hearing you're trying to equate what they were doing to what you're doing now, and they're not using the proper term. Philosophy is about developing those philosophical contexts, right? It's all about nomenclature, how we use word, right? And this type of thing. That's what it develops into. So these philosophical premises, you're going to have to use this nomenclature because it's specific to the context. We understand that you're having a technical conversation, right? Where we're framing an historical timeline, the development. So first of all, you might be absolutely right. They never use any of that terminology, but that's a terminology that developed by means of the
Man, but you
criteria
know
and the
what? But you know what
curriculum
they
you
found
developed
though.
over the
You know what
years.
they found though, Cedric. Cedric, they connected to the Greek philosophy. Come on, bro. They not stopping that practice. That thought is there. Yo, the framework. The framework is there.
Yeah.
They all connected to the authority of natural philosophy, man. Like, come on, bro. And he's saying in the general sense, they wasn't formally trained. So then the question is, who in that time period was formally trained, and why don't we know about them? That's the
Right.
point,
Mm. And
right?
when questioning that statement, you see that they were actually trained within their academic arenas, within these schools of thought. This was the
But
How
that's
about at
foundation.
the House of Wisdom? How about at the House of Wisdom?
Same
They
thing.
they they called them philosophers, Platonians.
but
Yo,
but but
because they
that's what.
translated, they wasn't formally trained, right? They translate the text and they called them philosophers.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man.
But that's what killed the argument for me, because he said that Aristotle was a philosopher, and then when I'm like, so who trained him? Who trained him?
Crickets. Crickets.
Exactly. And that's what I got. And then I was like, yo, when I asked you the question, bro, you didn't answer, so don't cut me off. He's like, he didn't hear it, and he said that I should have rephrased. I didn't hear nothing, bro. I heard crickets, and that's what I said. I said crickets, chirp,
Yeah,
chirp.
you can answer that. Couldn't answer that with it.
So
Yeah, the minute I said,
what's going on in the chat though?
I mean, I'll put this. The minute I tell him, give the source, let me examine it, he goes, no, because you're just going to try to discredit it. I'm like, what?
Oh man, I'm
I
trying to
said, we
learn,
want to
bro.
critique it. We're skeptic. You're not a skeptic. You're a cynic. I'm like, bro, you ain't that. Just say
I
I ain't got
called you a
nothing, bro.
cynic.
Just say I ain't got nothing, bro. Just say I ain't got nothing, bro.
What? Like I pull up the
uh,
source where I'm talking from, because this is why I'm saying what I'm saying. You have the stage. Pull up your source. Now I understand that it says that, but look, this is what you are missing based on these and these studies. Blah, 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 blah. You
I
can't
would
do it. You got
appreciate that. I would
nothing to
appreciate
support
that.
your position.
Yeah, I would appreciate
Nothing
that.
anywhere.
I would appreciate that.
That's all I wanted. Like, you want to have the discussion. You obviously are versed in the subject, but you need to come within the framework of methodological naturalism. You cannot operate outside of that because now we're just listening to you philosophize. That's metaphysical philosophy, and I don't engage in that. You need a source.
Yeah,
Sunshine,
it's
appreciate you dropping by for Sunday school. What's
no, don't
good?
change the conversation, man. Here
The
we
one
go, man. I
person,
can't
bro.
do this.
No, it's not a change in the
Crazy.
conversation. That's the name of the show.
Come on, man.
Hey, grand rising, y'all. And
Yeah,
happy
man.
Sunday. Hey, I really
Happy
enjoyed
Easter.
Dr.
Happy Easter, yo.
Yeah. I really enjoyed Dr. Aden yesterday, brother. That was one of your best shows, man. Very informative. Hopefully you'll bring him back. That was
Oh yeah,
awesome.
he's
Uh,
scheduled for a lot of he in the family, yo, all day.
yeah. And I
Hmm.
totally agree with him on the Ivan van Sertima. That was very informative and important information to put things in a proper perspective.
Hmm.
I also appreciate that he did mention the African identity of being black as well. He mentioned that,
Mm.
and he was.
Hmm.
I thought that was important to the conversation as well, where he affirmed with these I think he said Farafina was a word for black and African. And I thought that was very good as well. The only question I was left with, he mentioned the history of art, and in the history of art, he mentioned that the Europeans did not consider the Africans smart enough or wise enough to have incorporated abstraction in their art. And then he spoke about his professor, a gentleman with the white afro, and said that he went out to show that the Africans did in fact and could not have created these arts without the concept of abstraction. And he used the African masks as an example because the masks were highly spiritual, had a highly spiritual symbolism. And I was wondering from that, based on his concept of African art as art, if we can move that into the idea of African science as science. What he called it was colonial erasure. And he also said it was violence to assume that the Africans did not study art and were not highly developed enough to have the concept of conception. And then the argument of whether African science incorporates, even though unwritten, the pillars of the scientific method. And I'm not sure what his views are on that in particular. I'd like to know whether he would agree with, for example, the African scholars that we mentioned, who said it was science and not black magic. And that article also mentioned the same concept of colonial erasure in that concept as well. So that would be the only question that I had, but I really thought it was a great interview, and I really wanted to congratulate you on that.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, because I look at the dude Vasa was saying, that dude doesn't argue that Socrates didn't exist. He's just arguing how much true facts can we know about the historical figure that late. But that's true with many ancient people, bro. That's not some new revelation. When you go back in ancient times, I'm saying a lot of stuff will come from secondary sources, bro. Peripheral view, secondhand. So yeah, most of the historical concept people are in general going to be lost, bro. That's just how history works. It's like that's not like some major revelation.
That is pretty much when you understand how history works and how they reconstruct history. When you're in the moment, usually you're not busy thinking that you're recording history. It's after the fact these stories are put together, and the credibility of them is based on how they could corroborate them with archaeological finds or other texts that corroborate, for example, comparing stories from different nations. So there's a process to historical reconstruction. And
excuse me, Cedric, what did the quote say that you put up on the stage? What did that say? You just put up there. You highlighted it. What did it say? I think it was Socrates talking about.
He's still saying there's no damn evidence, raw chat. That means there's no evidence. No, it doesn't mean it's the secondary.
What? No, I didn't hear you. You said what?
No, I said Roy in the chat still saying that means there's no evidence. No, that doesn't mean there's no evidence. That means that we have indirect evidence.
Yeah, he doesn't understand what evidence is. Yeah, then you don't understand what evidence is, my brother.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Thunder, what's good?
What's good, man? Y'all all right?
I'm good. How you doing?
We
good, man. Good afternoon.
All right. So you popped.
Do I need to go?
There we go. That's the energy I like. That's the energy I like right there. Yeah.
Get it cracking.
Yeah, there you go. Let's get it cracking. Hey, let me ask y'all a question.
Here we go.
Oh, he got a question.
Number one, great job with having our brother, the brother scientist on, historian. I'm sorry.
He's
a great job with having him on. Scott Hendricks did a great job, and I'm looking forward to. I think I said you got my cash app right.
When you sent it?
Yesterday, I want to say. No, when you did Reggie. When you were beating up Reggie. Yeah, so that little extravaganza, that was funny, man. That was classic. That's one of the most craziest days I remember that because y'all went from like 10 a.m. to damn 1.
Oh yeah, that was
What is that?
thing. Oh yeah.
What was that? Aretha Franklin?
No, that's
So, you talking about the? Oh yeah, I got you. So, yeah, go ahead.
What's your ideology? Seems to be the question round here lately.
Oh man,
Every
crazy, yo,
discussion
such crazy.
Y'all crazy, man.
rooted in psychology, fueled by the lack of integrity. Case in point, the so-called tragedy.
All right, so let's get to this, right? Scott Hendricks, brother Scott Hendricks, did a great job. His microphone was very trash, but
yeah, we're gonna make him come back. We're gonna redo that. I tell him we got.
That microphone was horrible. But round the end, I looked at it this morning. I looked at it twice. Round the end, you asked him a question about science. What is a scientist? And then he went into Newton, right?
Yeah.
He went into Newton in particular. Do y'all recall what he said about Isaac Newton?
Yeah, I recall. I asked him, you got to start from the beginning. People just dove in the middle. They didn't start from the beginning. I said, how do you feel about the term a scientist?
Yeah, that's a fact. That's what you said.
Is it along the same lines of the word science? And his statement was yes. So we have to look back, and everything he said about the word science, right?
Yes,
and we apply that same reasoning. And then he went into to explain, the details of it. I thought he did a great job of it.
He did. I think he did as well. What did he say about Isaac Newton and being a scientist? Did he mention that at all?
Yeah, he said that. He said the same thing we were saying, that you can definitely put that to him. He said, but then
I don't recall him saying that. I recall him saying that Isaac Newton was a scientist.
No, he said you can apply it to him, but once you pull it all apart, then you realize he was a nut too. He had a whole lot of beliefs in that, like that. He said, but you just keep it all together, right? He said, but if you start, remember he hit you with the idea of the glasses? He said, when you're looking at it without your glasses on, you're like, oh yeah, that's what it is. And then when you put your glasses on, you can see the details. So in details, right? The details that really separate everything. So he didn't have a problem with placing that on him. And just like we never had a problem, I think the people that was going against us made it an official problem. So because that's the only thing they could ever argue in the whole conversation was something that they made up. That never was our argument, Thunder. I've been saying that from day one. I'm saying I just call a man what he was called during this time period. And if y'all want to add in retrospect the terms, that's fine with me. That's not my debate. Right? That's crazy. That's not my debate, bro. But that's why I saved that for last.
You're good.
Right? We can go back and listen to it again and really get the whole fine details.
Yeah, if you want to go, it's 1 hour and 20, 1 hour and 23, 1 hour and 24. If you want to play it again, but I just thought that part.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, I just thought that part was interesting. I just wanted to see if you all caught what he said about him being a scientist.
Did you catch what he said?
I did it for the bros, though. I wasn't running from nothing.
Did you catch what he said about
the bros, though.
I know you did. What'd you say? Said?
Yeah.
Did you catch what he said about him being a scientist? What did he say?
You said what he said?
Yeah, what he said.
Let's play it. You want to play it? Yeah, let's play it.
I want to hear your interpretation. Go ahead.
No, I don't want to interpret anything. 1 hour and 24 minutes. Just press play on 1 hour and 24 minutes. Let's go.
I'm going to play it, and after I play it, you're still going to have to tell me what that means.
Okay, good. I'll do that. No problem.
All right, let's hear it out. At the end.
Y'all just
say the best.
We just have to call Newton the scientist. Y'all just will not let us have it. Y'all just.
I know. We let them have it.
We let y'all have it.
Yep.
All of us signed it, but y'all just refuse to give us grace, bro. Like,
yep. Can't get
even
no
though
grace.
He is a natural philosopher. That's not even a debate. There ain't no other side.
Sosa, it's all Sosa. This is content, bro. You on YouTube, right? Just relax. Let it flow. It's okay. Everything's straight, bro. Let's just create some content.
Actually, if I need to light a cigarette before you came on, then I trusted you, bro. This on the lowest day, man. Shit.
Wow. Yeah.
But yeah,
So
I think
you
that was a
enjoyed
great
the interview,
job,
though,
and I'm
Thunder?
gonna
Good
continue
information.
to give periodically. You know, I definitely give on
No, I
to make
appreciate
sure. If you're gonna make sure those, if we can get those going, if
it. I got
we
it
can
going.
incorporate
I
that
got it.
aspect, yeah, I give to that, no problem.
Yeah, we got that going. Yeah, and then people start making up stuff, pay the man to say certain things. That is preposterous, bro. Like,
Hey
bro,
man, it's all warfare, bro. It's all everything fair in love and war.
not for me. My thing is, I'm never running my mouth about a subject and then bring an expert up and don't ask him those exact questions based off what I was saying. You feel me? So we never
Yeah,
strayed away from the literature and the statements we was making. It wasn't a pseudo killer Cedric Sosa statement. It never was that. It was based off of the readings Encyclopedia Britannica, Scott Hendrick's work, and a few other few other scholars' work. And I just wanted to make sure that the bros was actually transmitting those ideas properly. So that's why, I had a friend. You know what I mean? I had a friend, and we connected like that, right? And so,
yeah,
I've had off the cuff conversations with him, and I mean, he's a great guy, man,
yeah, yeah.
and he, a great teacher. I think the way he transmitted it was super clear and super smooth, man. That's why I appreciate bringing an expert show. They take complex ideas
Cedric,
and simplify it for us.
Cedric, he always insults me, and I look past it, but because it's not personal. But I don't take it personal. It is personal, but I don't take it personal. But yeah, he called me a moron, all that. I had no problem. But Cedric, you did a great job.
It's content.
With him. Well, you can do that. Yeah, you can do that.
That's
You
great.
did a great job, Cedric. In your back and forth with him, you did a great job. I can't lie about that. I give you props. I ain't gonna call you nothing.
I
You know,
appreciate them. But you see, when you're
Put it
being when
all
you're
on the
doing the
line.
antagonist thing, the one goes with the next. Remember, it's content.
it's content.
Yeah.
Cedric put it all on the line. Cedric say, "This is my idea," right?
And homeboy said, "Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, 100%."
But we can't get other people to do that. I done seen many people have the best experts on the panel and don't tell them what they're saying for critique. And that's the part I don't like. That's the part that really gets me.
Hi, thank you for joining us. We appreciate your support. Like, share and subscribe to the Pseudokillas and community of skeptics. Thank you.
Yeah, Garfield used to do that. Garfield used to ask them. Well, I thought he did.
Huh?
Can you hear me?
We asked him all the we
Okay.
asked him all the questions. He talked about. I think the important thing was when he said we need to let the ancestors speak for themselves and explain the body of knowledge that they were using. That thought he talked about world views.
No, you said that, and he agreed with you.
No. Okay, but he said it another way though. You get it? I say it in a slick, robust way, right?
Right.
But as a professional, he said it. He basically said that they're epistemic regimes, right?
Yeah, he did.
Meaning that, and they have body of knowledge and a worldview and a way of thinking in that body of knowledge. And he said it's important to understand how they was thinking, what they was thinking, and the body of knowledge that they formed. He said that's why you got to be careful with taking that word science, because that word science has baggage with it and has a specific. And I thought that was important to make that clarity right there. He did a great job on that, bro. That's all I've been trying to say. There's certain rules associated with it, and there's people who have aspects of it, but does it fit the body of rules that come with that term science? That's what we're saying. Then we talked about the general sense. I asked him, I said, well, why do y'all? I hit him with the y'all. Why do y'all take that word? And he said it's based off of context of categories and try not, it's for the category. The book, The Cambridge of Value 1, Ancient Science, right? And so they let you know, we talking about the category of science, right? And it's a body of knowledge that was created in the Stone Age, right? That they're loosely calling general in the general sense science. And so you have to understand that type of terminology, man. It's okay. I mean, it's part of our education as a whole, man. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. I just thought experts do great jobs, man.
Yeah,
Hey,
and
brother,
I suggest you go back to the beginning of this show and watch the first hour of the show, because I've started the process of actually identifying these bridge figures and identifying the epistemic regime and their movement through the shift. Right? We talk about a revolution, we talk about an epistemic rupture, we talk about different epistemic regimes, and since you guys want to so discuss these figures, we have put 10 individuals in line and in sequence. Maybe next week Sunday I'll do the second half of the show when we actually conclude and show the overlap, show the differences in time and space, right? And how this formulates, right? How it's a process to come there. So you want to talk about these individuals that are on the bridge, go back and look at the first half of this, first hour of this show, and you get a clearer understanding. I'm sure of it.
I will. No
But
problem. I ain't got no
Cedric,
problem with that.
you had us
quick
ready. You
question.
had us ready for the whole interview, because that whole week you had got us prepared for that interview. That was great right there, bro. Because when he started bringing up stuff, I'm like, oh yeah, that's what. Yeah, Cedric said that. So, we talked about the I think it was Grant, you and Grant, and we talked about the particulars of certain scholars, right? And he brought that right up. I was like, yeah, I was prepared for the interview even more, just based off of those conversations you had. So I
Hey,
appreciate that,
can
bro.
I ask a question?
Hold on one
Hey,
second. Let me say this, and I'm gonna jump off now. I'm sorry, Sunshine. Sosa. Now since he brought up Grant, I wasn't gonna say nothing, and you saved him yesterday. You did a good job at saving him. When he got into Sosa saved Grant. I don't know, I get it. That's your homeboy, but So Grant asked me a question that was something I was just taken aback by it, and he kind of froze me. He froze me with it. He said, he asked me, when did proto-science end?
Yeah,
I said, what? What you mean, when did proto-science end? Proto-science ain't never ended. I don't know, when did proto-science? Are you serious? Are you really asking me that when did proto-science
That
is
was an
not a...
interesting question. Now let me deal with it, because you know exactly what you were doing.
Yeah, Sosa.
You know exactly what you were doing, Thunder. Within
What's
the
that?
new epistemic framework, within our new epistemic framework, methodological
Yeah.
naturalism, we have the word proto-science as well. The emergent sciences like neurosciences, especially a lot of the sciences that Sosa talk about, is a combination of psychiatry, psychology, and actual clinical data, right? Those are emerging sciences. They're emerging fields, and they call them proto-scientific fields or proto-science. But they are under the epistemic regime of methodological naturalism. When we are talking about proto-science, we are talking about a different epistemic regime. And you would have to clearly indicate when that ends. And it ends, right, at the beginning of the 16th century, and that transition is a 200-year period. So that question was a valid one because it related to the epistemic regimes that we were talking about. What you were doing.
Yeah, good breakdown. Good breakdown.
I saw what you were doing, but I was in the chat. I said,
I don't think Thunder understood that.
No, I did. I answered this question exactly how Cedric just said, right?
Yeah,
but it was after Sosa. It was after Sosa had to save him, and I wish Sosa would have stayed out of that. I didn't answer this question. I did get. I messed up, but I didn't mess up because he was talking about I was talking about the beginning of modern science, and I mentioned the scientific revolution, right? But Sosa did pick up on that, and he corrected me right on the spot. So I give him props on that. That's why I'm leaving Sosa alone, because he bailed me out too. He bailed out Grant, and he bailed me out too. But Cedric, now, as far as what you just said about the epistemic regime, and proto-science, what I will do today, I'm gonna look at what you told me to look at the first hour, so I'm gonna look at that. And then I'm gonna go back and look at what you just said about the epistemic regime and proto-science. I'm gonna look back at that today, and then I'm gonna get back with you. Y'all been going pretty strong here the last month or so. So I'll catch you on the rebound. My bad,
For sure.
Sunshine.
For sure. You'll see me
It's okay, Thunder. I'd
Monday
like
at
you to stay
4:30 for sure.
on.
Go ahead, Sunshine.
am I-
You got the floor.
Yeah,
We're
Thunder,
closing
stay
out
on for
now.
my
We hit the
question.
3-hour mark, so we're closing out. So get your last words in, cause we're running off the show.
I'll stay on. Go ahead, Sunshine. Go ahead.
I'll be back tonight
Yeah.
at 9
So
o'clock.
my question is that Dr. Aden made it clear that the Africans did identify as black in that term Farafina, as both black and African. But my only question is, it seems like he was actually speaking to these people, and it may be argued that it was from a more contemporary or pre-colonial concept, right? Which was introduced to them. And I was wondering, did he make it clear? And I was hang on, I haven't asked the question. I haven't asked the question yet. Allow me to ask the question if I could. The question is,
wait a minute.
The question is,
whoa. No, Sunchild. You have to acknowledge that what he was talking about was post-colonial contact in reference to them identifying as black, not pre-colonial.
It was
That's
both.
a
It
major
was kind of
distinction.
both, Cedric. It was both, Cedric. That's why I made that distinction and asked that question. It was kind of both. So we got to separate what part that was post, right, and then what part which was, which was pre. Because he kind of ran them together.
Yeah.
Right, and that's my question. And that's my question. I was asking for some clarity on how he made it. Did he make it clear that this was also something that the ancients did?
Yeah, he did it. He said well, I went into the particulars of talking about the how humans see in color anyway. So that's right. That's right on par, right? But in the racialized sense, it wasn't there until the Arabs come in.
Didn't he use the word proto-racialization? He said we can consider it a form of proto-racialization.
Yes, he did. And so that's par for the course too. That's par for the course too, right? But we would have to get in depth next time we come on. We'll get in depth with that because that's important. To really let's tease it out. We can tease it out with them, just like we had a great conversation about the blacksmiths. I'm letting them do his thing on that. We have a healthy conversation based around that too. Blacksmith is it science? So y'all gonna enjoy that. Yeah, I mean, I just didn't want to mix that in the conversation that we was actually.
You saying it's metallurgy science?
Yeah. Yeah, I say it's not.
Okay, good. So you said cooking ain't science either, right?
Right. I say modern metallurgy is though. And ancient metallurgy would be actual empirical data, knowledge, a systematic knowledge. Okay. Modern metallurgy, just like modern farming. With you on that, huh?
Sunchild, you're not doing that, bro.
No, what did he say? No. What did you say, Sunchild?
Hate that shit. Go ahead.
Sunchild, what did he say?
I was asking if you think Dr. Aden would agree with you with regard to metallurgy.
No, he didn't.
No,
he didn't. No, he didn't, because that's his favorite subject.
So he agrees that the early African metallurgy would be science as well?
Yes. So I'm going to let him talk about that, but I didn't want to dirty up the conversation with that. Right? But no, I'll be honest. No, he didn't. But we fought for like 2 hours in the back chat. After y'all was gone, we fought for 2. It was 2 hours, knock down, drag out. It was a great conversation.
You didn't call him a pseudo, did you?
No, because he wasn't a pseudo on that. But he made great points. But it was some things you couldn't get around, though. You're not going to get around that. But that's his subject. He's actually studied in that, and that's his subject. And,
man,
but it's okay.
I was so impressed with the stories of sitting at the feet of the griots and the story of sharing cola nuts. I was reading Things Fall Apart, and it's traditional with the cola nuts, so that really reverberated with the African tradition. It was just good to see that culture is still thriving in some way.
Yeah, I brought them on for all y'all, man, for everybody, and that, for both sides. So he's great for both sides of the conversation, and we're not speaking in absolutes on anything, man. I just felt like it was healthy to bring him in and have him a part of the team, actually, just talking about those subjects, man. I think it's important, bro.
Yes,
So he
sir.
agrees with a lot of stuff we're saying, into some things like the blacksmithing. He emphatically disagrees, yo. Yeah,
That's
which is
okay.
great. That's all right.
Yes.
Shoot. Yeah, that's all right.
That's the
So
realm of academia that we're in. That's how you sharpen your swords. I need to hear his arguments. I'm quite interested. I didn't hear the 2 hour throwdown, but I'm sure I'll have that conversation with him. So that's interesting. That's good.
it was a knockdown, drag out fun.
Yeah, and we need that level of how you say discourse, because quite frankly, there is not that we're not gonna find that in anywhere in the community. All we're doing is cleaning up their trash, taking out the trash. So having a healthy debate with a scholar of this level is exactly what we should be doing. Thank you very much.
But if you listen to the people, if you turn the furnaces towards the community, they have the furnaces turned inward, right? But he said, in their worldview, watch this: if the furnaces is turned towards the community, it puts out like a mystical identity, like spiritual force. I was like, there you go, right there. That's why I want.
Mm-hmm.
In their own words, their worldview thought that if the furnaces is pointed towards community, it would do some kind of. I was like, I tried. There you go. He started laughing. I said, there you
Right
go.
there. Right there.
Right there. We got you.
Right
Right
there. Right there. I got you right there. Right there.
Yeah, but he kind of he feels like they could separate that. Right? I disagree.
Hey, brother Ankh, when you asked him about the Egyptians being black, you guys kind of laughed the question off, and he didn't really respond. I would have been interested to hear what he would have had to say about that specifically. I think maybe we took for granted that you all might have had agreed on that, but I would have liked for him to have.
Everybody's stuck with the same Egyptian thing. Have you heard that here today? We're talking about the philosophers on the bridge.
I understand, brother, but we were just talking about Dr.
We're talking about the philosophers on the bridge. The first thing is the ability to stay within the context of the conversation. These are simple discipline things.
Yeah, I understand.
I'll create the space, or the space exists.
I'll go live in a little bit when I finish.
Yeah, we do that in the easy kind of full in. Not here. I need to filter my brain towards that again.
Listen, man, y'all got to start. You got to learn how to spell pseudo. I don't know why y'all keep fucking this up, but look at the stream, y'all. It says Pseudokillas Sunday School presents. Come on, man.
That's an old one. I put it back up. I
learn how to fucking spell pseudo.
I noticed it when I was.
I already redid it though. Instead of streaming out, if you look at the YouTube, I've already switched it around.
It's a pseudo spelling of pseudo.
Yeah.
You look at the YouTube page right now. I've already went in there and switched it around.
Well, good catch, Sosa.
That's a consistent misspelling of the Pseudokillas.
Yeah, that me.
Boy. Well, that's all you on, bro. That's all you do. I'm gonna do an after show.
I need to leave that little caveat for somebody to play with, or like Kevin Bacon. I'm still waiting on a Kevin Bacon video. That should be fun.
Kevin Bacon. There you go with that.
Yeah. So yeah, Sun Child, I'm gonna do a joint on the after show. We can discuss it. I'm gonna do that in about an hour. Get out the way.
I'm gonna jump on later.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for coming in. God Killer, we announced he's going to go live in an hour. We're going to see everybody over in the community of skeptics. Sosa, appreciate you jumping in. Gideon, thanks for being here. This has been the first Pseudokillas Sunday School. We're going to deal with the rest of the philosophers and the transition, when and how modern science was established. We're going to do that in next week's episode, and we'll transition into more philosophical discussions about the theological premises and the split that happened, right? These are the environments that we want to have these discussions, and we separate them, we segregate them, and go in, right? That way we can get a full and better understanding of what we're talking about. Again, this is a phenomena environment. Everything is open to be discussed. We appreciate it. But what I'm not going to do is be an environment where you come with your claim, you present yourself as an authority, and think that's the way the conversation is going to happen. No one grows from such an experience, right? And it's not productive to the community. It's not productive to any of us. You may have valid arguments, but that needs to be sourced up so we can actually take the time and do the work, right? Which we do is take it through the process. We verify the source, we vet the source, we go through the material, and we understand the conclusion, and we synthesize that within the scope of what we're doing. We are always open to change. However, you cannot bring a noumena into the environment of the phenomena. Anybody else want to say anything, Sosa?
Nah, man. Like I said, good show. I'll put up a God Killer show in a little bit when he do his little thing, man. Thank everybody for coming through. And,
yeah, man. I appreciate everybody. Don't forget, hit the like button. We had 51 people in here. I hope I see 51 likes. Everybody smash up the like button. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Y'all know what time. Sunday, we're going to be here at 9 o'clock. I'll be back on Monday at 4:30. And tonight, I'm going to do that lab episode. We're gonna do a clip them up and see you at the movies. All right? So with that, let me play some music. Take us out of here.
Misleading the people. What's your ideology? Seems to be the question round here lately. Every discussion rooted in blackology, fueled by the lack of integrity. Case in point, the so-called tragedy, misleading the people, high-level foolery, smash, come of us, king's monologue. It must be a conspiracy. Nostalgia got them stuck in the past. Always reliving history. Ask Dr. Ben and Clark. Say their names, here's our spark. All one big fantasy. Smoke and mirrors, only confusion, no clarity. The nigga bro, no Quincy. Van Serma and Rashid. Now they teaching God energy, but that's another story. Raging out here, seeking glory. For him it's about his legacy. Highest little movement in the prematurely. Reggie was denied his opportunity. He signed at the feet so surely. It was meant to be his destiny to the king of psychology. That's your ideology. Seems to be the Reggie tried to contest that affected him emotionally. Reggie came loaded with more pseudo-foolery. Yet another battle he lost horribly. Obviously, Reggie, you're not ready. Ideology got you looking stupid, silly. Squints his eyes. Where he lies, if the look is ugly, you will never beat me. I got no emotions, no ideology. That's the difference between you and me. Oh, and don't try that. You got a degree. The name dropping, come work on me. I ain't never been a victim of psychology. What's your ideology? Seems to be a question round here lately.
We back at it. We coming for all gods. Pseudo slaves, pseudo killers. We coming for all gods.
Yes.
Let's go. I don't need gun bars to leave niggas heart scarred. My scholarship hits hard. I'm cooking with hot lard. These dead bodies all charged. You checking these glass doors, leaving them all charged. I'm coming for all gods. They begging, oh God. They begging, oh God. But he can't save it. There is no stage. Step in this ring and I'll annihilate you. Dropping nuclear bombs. All that's left is favors. Trying to battle me with your religion. I'm a pseudo killer, nigga. Wrong decision. My aim is deadly, we talking high precision. I'm in the war room assessing situation. We stay ready, prepared for every mission. All that yapping has got my full attention. It's clear to see y'all like the vision. Storytelling, vivid imagination. The best you got is manipulation. And I'm the source of your frustration. The elevation of this here conversation. You can't handle the level of deliberation. Leave them stumbling, stuck in humiliation. Get exposed before the whole nation. End result of this here equation. Pseudo killers equal annihilation. See, I don't need gun bars to leave niggas heart scarred. My scholarship hits hard. I'm cooking with hot blood. These dead bodies all charged. I'm checking these glass jars. I'm leaving them all charged. I'm coming for all gods. 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 I'm coming for all gods.
Sunday school, PK style, open your Bible, turn to chapter and verse, let's see what it really says. Let's get to work. I went down to the garden to see what I could find, but I brought a cold scalpel for the architecture of the mind. Just believe, they said don't ask why. But I'm looking for the engine in the middle of the sky. I'm massaging the text till the ghosts start to fade. Applying the rigor in the light of the blade. No more circular blocks, no more holy disguise, just the natural right before my eyes. Make
against the scammers, hoodwinkers, charlatans, flim-flammers in our community. And with that, we out.